that's the last thing I wanted to say. But I think we have our guest in the building, right?
We do, yeah. Do you want to tee up Hirupay? And I gotta ask, Hirupay, how do you pronounce the project name? Sorry.
It's Hurupe. You actually got
Hirupay.
it. Yeah, Hurupe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
awesome. Very nice to meet you, Philip. Welcome to MCG.
yeah. Thank you so much for hosting me, and super excited to be here and share more about Hurupe. Yeah.
Awesome,
Absolutely.
Philip. Well, it's good to have you. Good to have you. Well, it's going to be an amazing interview. I like what you guys are doing. I saw that there was an article that I believe either you guys or perhaps even Metadata. Actually, I think it was you guys who put an article out that just kind of
Uh-huh.
talked about the metrics behind your business and things of that nature. So I want to dig into all of that here. But to
Mhm.
start out, I guess the best place to start is just with you. Who's Philip? Why are you building? What brought you to HeroPay? What experience do you have in your past? Let's start there and we can continue on.
Yeah, sure. Thanks again for having me. My name is Philip, co-founder and CEO of Hurupe. I've been in the crypto industry for almost 7 years now. Before Hurupe, I've built a couple of products around Web3. Some of them still on GitHub. Some of them, launched and then killed them. But then about 3 years ago, that's when I started working on Hurupe, and that's what I've been building. So the key problem we're solving here is how do people, especially in emerging markets, get paid? And this is a problem myself have faced. I'm from Kenya, and in most cases, when you're from such markets outside the US, getting a USD bank account is pretty hard for you, right? Leave alone getting paid. And so traditional platforms like PayPal and Wise still haven't solved that problem. They're very selective on the markets they serve. And so for me, that's a problem I faced firsthand, and my co-founders as well, right? So at some point, I was a freelancer, remote worker, and I had issues with PayPal, locking my account when they see like 2K just coming in or 1K, and all of a sudden you have your account locked, and so many issues in between. And that's when the idea of Hurupe came in. Used part of my experience in Web3 together in my CTO to code the first version of Hurupe. Along the way, we pivoted a couple of times, but then today, what we do is we solve the problem for both, businesses and consumers. Primarily because even after solving my own problem, I realized that as far as the business in the US is still having issues paying you, then in as much as you have a dollar account, then it's still like one part of the problem solved, right? And so that's like when we built products for both the business and the consumer side. And that's like what we do. That's like my experience and how we are here. Yeah.
Awesome.
Got
Can
it.
I
Got it.
ask before we get into the project itself, because there were some impressive metrics and we want to ask about those, but how did you get connected to MetaDAO and Profit? Can you talk about that real quick?
I met Prof last year. I think it was around September-ish. Yeah, September. We met on X. I think I came across him posting about MetaDAO. At the time we were raising money, and on the VC traditional VC way, and MetaDAO comes in, and then I saw the new way of raising money. Started talking to Prof, and we've been super hesitant to actually do this. But then jumping into the new year, more conviction came in, and that's like how we fully got into the ecosystem and decided to do it on MetaDAO. But yeah, we connected over X. At the time, I was in SF, but I didn't know the guy was actually in SF as well. And I'm hoping to actually meet him in person very soon. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, let us know if he wears the mask or not, because we all want to know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Chill, do you want to throw into some? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I see that in your bio on Twitter, you have angels from Microsoft and Bankless. I think
Mhm.
that's really huge. Talk to us a little bit about just how you started HeroPay, the journey, and let's map that to where we are now.
Yeah. So like I said, we started Hurupi about 2 years ago. That's around let me say it was the end of 2022 actually. And jumping to 2023, we got into an accelerator, an incubation program at Harvard University. And that's how I met my first angel, Tiffany Johnson. At the time, she was working for Amazon, AWS. And then later on, she moved to Microsoft, right? And so it was at the program that I met her. We kept in touch. And then 2020, towards the end of 2024, around December, we were raising a small pre-seed round, and she invested in us. And ever since, she's been super helpful for us. Getting a lot of Microsoft credits, a lot of events in around SF, being invited and stuff. Then for Bankless, it was through it was Johnson Botsford, previously CTO at Bankless, though he has moved to other things. He sold his startup in the early days to Bankless, became their CTO, and then later on moved to other things. He also invested in us again towards the end of 2024. I met him in SF at a Celo blockchain, Celo headquarters. There was like this Ethereum story.
Yeah.
It was happening at the time about Vitalik, and met him. It was super casual, like, hey, Philip, this is what I'm building. He was super interested and invested in us.
And
Then
at that time when they made investments, did you have a working product and some sort of PMF or customers?
PMF no, but product yes.
Okay.
Yeah, product yes, we had it. But then now Founders Inc. came in after. Now we had like the early traction, super good. We are growing. Early 2025, Founders Inc. came in, and yeah, from there it's just been ups and growth.
Yeah, and have you announced how much you've raised yet from those previous rounds, or is that private information?
It's actually on MetaDAO's. Part of MetaDAO is just to be as transparent as possible.
Yes.
So we got 200K from all of them.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And maybe just because this is a new mechanism, right? And tell me if I'm wrong or not. Are you dissolving the equity or the existing entity and starting a new one that this DAO represents? Or how does it mechanically work when you have existing people on the cap table?
Yeah, so everything changes from safe to stamp. So that means that the investors no longer have equity, right? And they won't get equity even after you guys get a prize round. So everything is now changing where we don't have the equity kind of stuff. Now we have token, right? So investors get token, and that becomes like their new safe, but now we are calling it stamp. Yeah. Same actually with the founders. So we are moving from equity to token being like what represents your equity in the company. And even when it comes to future rounds, if you are raising, it's no longer, it's close to impossible to raise through safe because now there's no equity, there's no safe. And now it's equity now. Tokens. Yeah.
Got it. And so through that journey, and Chill, I'll wrap my line of thinking up here in a second. So you started raising in 2021, 2022. It looks like you didn't really get traction here in a super meaningful way until 2025. Can you just walk us through maybe like what those early years were and then what happened in 2025 that caused this acceleration in growth?
Yeah, like I said from the start, we've had a couple of pivots, and that's what happens towards the end of 2024 when Tiffany and Dawson came in. And before that, we were mostly focused on the cross-border remittance space, and that's a bit different from what we do today in the sense that we were mostly trying to help immigrants abroad try send money across borders, right? And along the way solve some minor problems of remote workers and freelancers. Even though that was like the main problem we were faced, but we started off with the remittance market. Then we tried to scale that. We tried to grow the business. Didn't work. There's so many players, so much competition. The margins are thin. And now towards the end of 2024, that's now when we pivoted and we're like, you know what? Within the users we have a small group that receive money very often. And when we talked to them, they told us they are remote workers and working for companies. And we're like, this is a problem we faced, and maybe this is like our calling to go back to actually our own problem. And that's like now when we build. Coming to 2025, we launched, and that's why we can see the growth. And something also to mention is that if you look at like 2026 January, it looks like it's down, but it's because the time when we were taking this picture, preparing these materials on MetaDAO, January was not over yet, so it might look like we were slowing down, but actually in January we did $10 million. Yeah, we did $10 million. So we are trying to update this data in MetaDAO to reflect actually where we are. But that kind of drop is because the month was not over and we were just preparing materials for MetaDAO. Yeah.
Got it. Wow. So I guess just walk us through exactly what is HuruPay. What's the moat that you guys have? We know that ever since some other neobanks have launched, it's kind of been this sort of like narrative that has formed. Yeah, it's been this neobanking narrative that's formed. So
we covered Avicii's ICO, and we've had Karma Wallet, and there's a number of neobanks that have come through, and we've tried to understand like what the difference is between some of these players. Sorry, Chill, that was just context.
Yeah, and on top of what Josh just mentioned, just walk us through what you guys are doing, and then kind of what's the moat? Where do you guys stand out from the competition?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So to start off is that a lot of stablecoin neobanks we have are only solving problem on one side or focusing on the crypto community, right? Most people who understand crypto, right? And so for us, we are focusing on the remote workers space, right? And also we don't just we don't solve problem on one side where we just give the remote worker an app. We're also helping that business that's actually paying them on board and see if there's an easier way where this business in the US can onboard with us, load money, and then be able to pay their remote workers, right? And so remote workers no longer need to think of, maybe I need a PayPal account to receive USD payments, or even maybe I need HuruPay. HuruPay is just like that option for you, right? But we are solving the problem from the core because for most, in most cases, if the businesses in the US had an easier way to pay out money, to move money outside US into actually people's local bank or stablecoin accounts, then I don't think most people in emerging markets will have the issue of I need a dollar account, I need this, because they'll be assured that my employer can actually pay me easily, right? And so for us, we're trying to own that whole flow where let's not just give people a new bank and only focus on anyone, as far as they know crypto. We're like, okay, we know the market we want to solve, we want the niche, and that's like remote workers. This is money that's, it's a volume that comes every month, every year, right? So it's very consistent. It's not a bear or bull market, because I believe for most stablecoin in your bank, maybe they might have an edge only when we have a bull market, because people are having a lot of money and they want to spend, right? So for us, it's more of like a normal user who receives money daily, monthly, no matter, it doesn't matter if it's a bear or bull market, right? And that's like what's differentiating all of us, right? So we give this business the dashboard. They can do batch payment. They can access crypto in a very simple way, and they can do savings and other things. And on top of that, we also giving this remote worker a choice to have a new bank in case maybe they leave the company. Maybe now they're trying to save money from their sister abroad or their brother, or Upwork. Now they're working on Upwork. They still have that option. Yeah.
And so I actually ran a gaming studio and we had overseas remote workers. I know this problem very specifically because I had a team of 10 that I managed, and this was a real problem. Would you say you kind of compete with, guys like Deal in a way? Because Deal made this kind of easy. There's also like Mercurial Bank or Mercury Bank, which is kind of like a more of a TradFi neobank. Like you were not the moat here is that you are not a crypto bank. You're focused on enterprise. And are those types of customers like more sticky? Like, do you think your customers, I don't want to say superior, but more sticky than a retail customer?
Exactly. And that's why in as much as we are doing both B2C and B2B, B2B is like where you get long-term customers, because if a business onboards, there's a high chance they're going to take a lot of time on your platform before they leave, right? And also it's very efficient because you bring one business, they bring 500 workers or 1,000. And we can consider Deal a competitor, even though right now I know Deal is trying to build their crypto rails and stuff. They're also very specific on the markets that they actually allow payments to go to. Deal is still built on the traditional rails where if you're trying to send money abroad, still happens through Swift, right? And so many banks in between. But if you look at us and what crypto has enabled by default is that as far as you have stablecoin, you can off-ramp it in any country you are, as far as those rails simply exist. It can be through P2P. People can use Binance and so many other things. Yeah.
Got it. And a question that I had was, we see that as far as from a metrics standpoint, last 12 months, you guys volume, we saw that chart earlier, has just gone absolutely parabolic. What's been the driving force of that volume? Like, is it the businesses that you guys are, because you mentioned you're getting these businesses on board so that way it's easier to pay these remote workers. How many of those businesses do you guys have? What's the main driving force of this volume?
Yeah, so today we have 15 active and high volume clients. And what honestly has been driving growth is just being head down and just, working on your customers, listening to their feedback. A lot of them didn't start, initially they didn't use us for 100% of their payroll. They were like, we want to try this up. So maybe 10% of our workers, 20%, but over time they saw we're actually efficient. We are listening to their needs. The payments actually arriving very fast. It's very efficient for their remote workers and so for them. And so they kept on increasing those numbers, right? And so, as we're onboarding a new business tomorrow, the previous one is also increasing the amount of customers they're paying through us. And of course, there's also the B2C side. Let me not also put it away. We've been very, let me say on the ground. My team and I spent a lot of months in our key markets like Asia last year, trying to understand those markets, especially Southeast Asia, a bit of Africa, where a lot of these remote workers are who are hired by US companies. So there's that level of like being on the ground, not just like being a founder online, but also being on the ground and understanding what's happening, especially on both worlds, right? The US, where the money is coming from, and also where it's going. Yeah.
So on the US side, I see that you guys are also partnered with a top US bank. I don't know if you can disclose who that is, but just kind of tell us a little bit about what does that partnership unlock for you? I mean, you're on the ground with the users. How are you also benefiting from partnerships like, the Circle Alliance, these blockchain ecosystems that you have as well?
Yeah, let me not disclose fully on that, but I'll say, the bank enables us to have these US bank accounts because by default, we're not a bank and we don't have the licenses to do that. So, that partnership with the bank is enabling us to, remove the whole compliance hurdle for now on top of our heads, right? And focus on the growth, right? Before we can think of now building our own rails. So that's giving us the US dollar accounts, and then the crypto aspect and everything else, we built that ourselves. Then in terms of communities like Circle, Circle, first of all, have been very supportive on our end. Like I remember when they hosted a lot of events in Asia, they gave me this chance to speak in Singapore, trying to connect me with a lot of, customers through their teams, and also Sako is an enabler of like, what we use USDC. So there's like that relationship that we've been building together. Financial side, they have given us a couple of grants, and all that has been super helpful. Same with base ecosystem, right? Solana, a lot of support coming through.
Got it. And out of curiosity, where is the activity for these remote workers? Like, where are they located? Is it what parts of the world are you kind of dominating right now?
Ours is the first one is Southeast Asia, right? So and this we learned on the over time. We learned that a lot of US companies, their first option is Southeast Asia when they're hiring, right? Philippines, Indonesia, especially when it comes to these virtual assistants, data labeling right now, it's going fast, AI and all that. And so we spent a lot of months, like I'm saying, in Asia trying to understand those markets. And of course, there's a bit of Africa. That's where I come from. My co-founder as well. So that's another market where we have users. Right now, we are seeing also a lot of trend coming from Europe. A bit of Europe, a lot of users also trying to come back, especially in Spain, Portugal, and a couple of countries around.
Got it.
Yeah.
I have to ask, is this you at the bottom here? Is this you?
No.
Okay.
That's a picture, yeah.
I was like, man, my guy, let's go.
Talk about boots on the ground, right?
Yeah, talking to the customers. I love it. All right. Go ahead, Joe.
Maybe I should do that.
That would be nice. That would be nice. I mean, look, Yeezy did it for his Super Bowl commercial, and that that turned out really well. Another question I had earlier, you mentioned that with the partnership with the U.S. bank, that kind of removes some of the regulatory red tape for you guys. And what I wanted to understand, and you mentioned that at a certain point, you guys would want to build your own rails. Like, what does that look like? Talk to me a little bit about at what point in your growth would something like that happen?
Yeah, and maybe to expand on that question, just describe too, like how payments mechanically move from point A to B.
Yeah. Let me start with that actually. So for this whole thing to work, a US dollar has to move from the business's bank primarily that they use into Hurupe, right? And that can only happen if there's another US bank that Hurupe uses to get the routing number and account number, right? And that way now the dollar can actually move. And so you're definitely gonna need a partner, right? And because you're pretty small, you becoming a bank is, it's pretty crazy at the moment. So you're gonna have to have someone to help you with that. And that's like where the bank partnership comes in. And so the bank is gonna take a lot of compliance hurdle for you because now, because they are the one handling the dollar and all you're dealing with is the USDC, because then they hold the dollars for you, and then automatically you mint USDC for your users, right? And there's a couple of processes happening in between that we do. And so that way we're able to now have USDC, and that way now we can be able to do the rest of the work. And that's like where this banking is very important. But then of course, with every bank, they have like, there's a limit to how many countries maybe they can support, services they can offer. For example, today we don't support RTP or FedNow, and we don't support SWIFT. And that's limited to the bank. And so with our own license, one, it's a lot of credibility for you to even partner with a bigger bank, right? That has all this in place. And so you can be able to have a lot of control in terms of the market you operate, what data you can own, right? And which customers you can serve and how like you can move money around. So there's like that flexibility without having like someone on the side still overlooking like your operations. And so that's like where the whole licensing comes in.
What's the timeline for that? How do you close on that?
Honestly, I can say before probably before Q3
of this year. Wow.
Yeah, that's like how much we are pushing. Honestly, if we can get one MTL or two, we already like in those processes of like application and stuff. But then you need the cash, you need a couple of documents to be filled, a couple of KYC and stuff. So if all goes well, let me say before end of this year. Let me just say before end of this year. Yeah.
So you'll have your own like banking license before the end of this year.
Yeah. If our own licenses, honestly, there's crazy possibilities of what we can do. Yeah.
That's exciting.
The big players today in crypto, they are those that actually have the whole compliance, settled. And so you're so flexible in terms of innovating.
Of course.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe on the crypto, sorry, Chill, I just want to riff on this a second. On the crypto side, so where does USDC come into play? Is it like if the user on the other side wants USDC, or are you using USDC to send it to a banking partner in the Philippines, like CoinsPH, which actually a family member of mine was like a director at CoinsPH, which is funny enough. But yeah, can you just describe that real quick?
Yeah. So first thing, USDC comes in when you're receiving the money. So Hurupe cannot have dollars, right? We can't have actual US dollars on the app because we are not a bank, right? And we don't have a license yet, right? So this is only possible with stablecoins. They track, they're pegged with the dollar, and so we can have an equivalent of that, right? And that's like why the first place where USDC comes in. Second, of course, is for people to have to hold stable currencies. So some people don't want to immediately convert the money because where they live, the currencies are pretty volatile, and also the flexibility. Picture this: if you have USDC and you travel from maybe Philippines, from US to Philippines, it's so easy for you to actually still buy something because you can either use CoinsPH to convert the money. But if you have real dollars, then you can only go to the bank, right? Unless you have the card, right? And even once if you travel now between emerging markets, like now you're moving from Argentina maybe to Brazil, right? Stablecoins is like the easiest way for you to actually navigate moving your money. And so for countries like Philippines, and other countries we serve, the stablecoin comes in the aspect of people can save in it, right? They can now access DeFi like through savings, and it's super easy to to navigate all those spaces. And they can also get better rates out there because if you know Binance, they have really good P2P rates, and stablecoins enable you to access that.
Chill.
Got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Got it. So I guess one question that I had, because for me, like it's crazy to think that you could have a banking license by Q3. So I just wanted to just step back a little bit and just look at the future and just kind of not putting any clear deadlines on anything or anything like that, but just getting an overall picture of your vision. What can be done with what does a banking license unlock for HuruPay?
Yeah, like I said, banking first of all gives you that more control without like having a side or some kind of a limiting your growth. So when you have a banking license, now innovation is up to you. Like however you want to innovate around your product, what you can offer, that's up to you. The markets that you serve, right, that's up to you. Whoever you partner with next, right? Some banks are pretty strict that you're gonna need honestly to have like your own license and stuff, right? And we understand for them is because they're too big, they're trying to limit how many partners they work with. Some banks are pretty flexible. And so with that license, you can work with maybe much more innovative banks, right? That maybe of RTP, FedNow, Swift, or even other services, or they're more open to regions that you can actually support, right? Because for now, for example, there are countries we can't onboard because our particular bank cannot, serve that market. And this is maybe because of their compliance, team size, and all that. But some banks are too big that as far as the country is not sanctioned, then, and your, compliance is in check, you guys are, understand the risk and everything, then you can actually operate in those markets. And so that's really key for us in terms of like, how flexible we can be, how fast we can innovate. There's so many things stablecoins can do. I think this is just like the beginning, right? I think right now mostly stablecoins are, crypto exchanges, maybe DeFi, but there are a million things stablecoins can actually do, and those you can only innovate as fast when you have like that control.
Got it. Sounds good. Well, we have about 5-ish minutes left in the interview. So I want to run through a few things here real quick. Your revenue model, how you guys making money? How does that relate to the token? So let's kind of run through those two real quick, starting with your revenue model.
Revenue model, like I say, so because we have two sides of our business, for the businesses, we have 1 to 2%, depending on your volume that you run. So we take that at the point where you're putting money into the dashboard. For consumer side, it's 2% when you're receiving your USD payments. It's that simple. And of course, there's a small margin we make when it comes to Forex. So if you use our methods to withdraw cash, maybe to your bank directly, and you don't maybe withdraw via crypto, then of course, you're subject to our rates, and there's like a small margin we put there. What was your other question?
Was in regards to the token.
Oh,
how all of that relates to the token.
Yeah. First of all, the token, this is the only way we can be able to raise on MetaDAO. You're gonna have to have a token, and that's like the first thing, like where the token is coming in, right? It's our way to raise money and be able to scale. But it's also our way to, especially for ownership coins, to actually hold you accountable. Because unlike other tokens we've seen before that people raise with, there's no accountability, right? And so this token is a moment of accountability for us. If we are growing, and that's actually a reflective of it's reflecting on the growth of the token, then the business is actually working. And it's also part of us like creating that community around our users. I think for certain kind of like products, some as big as Ethereum, the token brought the whole community, right? Because when you hold Ethereum, you feel like you're part of this whole ecosystem and stuff. And so it's also part of us building that community around HuruPay.
Got it.
Dom, Chill, I have just want to double tap on the revenue model, which I think this is a great model, right? You're charging 100 to 200 bips on the enterprise side and then 200 bips on the consumer side to receive cash. So you're almost double ending it, which is great. I've done a rough math here, which aligns with your numbers, $36 million in cumulative volume. That works out to be about $720,000 in revenue.
Mhm.
How close are you to profitability, if not already? And then what is your kind of use of proceeds from the business? Like, how do you see taking that revenue as it scales? What are
Mm.
you using it for?
Yeah, so close to profitability, I think we are there because the team is pretty small, like I said. We are very efficient. Ours is to kind of have the same model as Hyperliquid. You don't have to have like 50 workers for you to make millions. As far you can have 10 people and they're super efficient and they're able to deliver. And so for us, for example, for January we made 74K. December we made 66K. And
Wow.
so we are going pretty fast and hope to get to around at least 500K before end of this year or at the end of this year. And so in terms of cash flow, like I can say we are
Per
pretty
month,
close to-
right? 500K per month.
That's like our aim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in terms of the proceeds, so the raise is only to serve three things or to solve three things for us. The first one is scaling distribution and our sales, right? So that includes like at least we need to hire two strong business leads in the US to help me, right, and my team in terms of getting more business in the US. Then there's compliance. Honestly, that's super key for us, right? Your business, especially fintech, is as strong as the compliance, right? It's not a feature; it's actually a whole department. And then we have product development. Of course, there are features businesses have been asking so that they can fully onboard. So today, I mean, we still cannot be able to fully bring a business to do everything on the dashboard because we don't have tools like accounting, super important for businesses. And so there are those key things that businesses have been requesting for: accounting tools, virtual cards, corporate cards, and all that. And so that's like what we are fully focused on this year: compliance, product-wise, and then full-scale growth. And we see what this takes us. Yeah, too.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I mean, I think we covered
Yeah, I only
quite
have
a bit.
one last question on this
Yeah.
because we've seen, and I don't know to what extent you can answer this, but an uncapped raise is a new thing on MetaDAO where
Yeah.
traditionally, like with Avicii, it was like
Mhm.
oversubscribed and then you backed out kind of your percentage of it, which kind of
Mhm.
whales play games with that. But now, if people pile into this, and usually most of these raise in the last like hours where most of the action happens,
Yeah.
you're taking all that money and you're putting it into the treasury, and then it'll have a net asset value of the treasury, right? Can you just walk us through kind of this bid wall mechanism?
The thinking. Okay. So first of all, to touch on the uncapped, this is the first MetaDAO I see to actually do this. And so, honestly, I do understand that even the way the commitments are happening, it's pretty slow than most ICOs. And, we could attribute that to some of the reasons like gaming, right? Previously, because the sales were capped, people knew that they're going to get money back. And so there's a lot of games between Polymarket and actually
Yes.
actual raise. And so I think like I said, I made profit last year. I've been observing the whole game and how tokens are going. And for me, in my own opinion, I saw something like when the sales are capped, you can't really know the true market demand, right? Because you don't know if it's a game, you don't know if these are flippers, people are trying to pay and win on both sides. But when it's uncapped, that's like when you actually know the true value of a business because these are actually long-term believers, right? They're putting what they believe Hurupe is worth, right? And also the valuation we get at the end of the day is actually what Hurupe is. And for us, one thing that could go good is that we get long-term believers, right? And so even after ICO, there's not that strong selling pressure that comes, right?
Yeah.
And after 2 days, people are pushing for you to do buybacks and all those. And so, you become so stressed because you just got like 100 million committed. Then 2 days after the ICO, there's all this pressure, because the token is tanking and people are like, no, let's liquidate the project, right? And so for us, we are like, okay, we are putting a bet on this. If it works, then good. I think it's gonna be like a standard for probably maybe other future launches. And also it's gonna protect people who they wanted to commit like 10K because they believe Hurupe is worth 10K of my money, right?
Yeah.
But when the sales are uncapped, right, you believe in Hurupe, but then someone else, because they have big money, they take a chunk of your allocation. And so for us, like this is us attracting long-term believers and also trying to protect everyone, especially prices being so volatile because it doesn't matter if the business is doing well. It doesn't matter if people are building. It's now like the whales determining your value of the coin, and that's pretty bad, right? And that's like why we're doing the race. Then more about the details is that, again, whatever we get, we receive during the commitment, we take it. But then something important to mention is that all the money does not go to Hurupe's treasury, right? As you can see, even here it's written, it goes to liquidity, treasury, and bidwall, right? Those are three different things. Hurupe needs a minimum of $3 million to actually achieve what we hope to achieve in the next, let me say 24 months, depending on how like we use the allowance. And then we have liquidity, and then we have the bidwall. Bidwall is for those scenarios, like I said, at times maybe, God forbid, maybe the token trades below NAV after maybe 30 days or whatever time, then, that is able to protect. And when the bid wall is kind of big, it's also helping you as founders not be too worried about the the money now coming to it into your treasury, right?
Yeah.
Because when you have less bid wall, a small bid wall, it means that now when a proposal about buyback passes, then your treasury now, the money you actually need to build is now being used to do buyback.
It's less. Can I ask, because we have like 1 minute left here, and this has been a great conversation, by the way, is when you soak up tokens in the bid wall, will you use those tokens for future, let's say, OTC deals? Like what happens when the token trades at a huge premium, 2 years down the road, and you're like, oh, we have this Access tokens, we can actually OTC it and raise new funds at a higher price than we bought it back for?
So right now they're kind of removed from from the circulation. So by default, that increases the value of the remaining tokens, right?
Yeah.
And right now they're kind of it's a bit unclear. Like there is a ban happening of those tokens because they're no longer in supply. But then I believe there's a chance for more minting, right? And you can also raise proposal with the team to decide maybe these tokens need to be sold later on when there's like a better opportunity for Hurupe to raise money and then can be used. But at the moment they're being removed from circulating supply, and that means the remaining tokens kind of have a higher price. By future, maybe minting, maybe the same token, yeah.
Philip,
but the team definitely doesn't have the right to actually sell or benefit from them without the community, without a proposal. Yeah.
Yeah, Philip, this has been a great conversation. I think you're one of the more promising MetaDAO launches that have come through in terms of pre-success leading into your ICO. We're going to get this clipped up, get it out there, but man, good luck on this. I hope you make it because I think you're a great founder. We'd love to have you in the ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys. I do appreciate this call, and we're looking forward to the last hours. Let's see what magic can happen, or what will happen.
Of course.
Your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why?
22 million in 3 fucking hours! There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.
Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's great.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares, partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
Oh, geez, Louise, we're back, baby. Let me get chill up here. We're back.
Boom, boom,
70K
boom.
Bitcoin.
Let's go. Let's go. What's up, boys? What's up, boys? It's been a terrible week. We deserve a little bit of a bounce. You feel me? I
We're
love
due.
it. You love to see it.
Dude, we are so due. How about that smooth transition though? I mean, come on. We got
I
it.
gotta say, Dom is in here chefing, bro. He's in
Come
here
on.
DJing in the background, bro.
Come on, bro. But nah, this is it's a good day. Uber drivers in Jubilee today as XRP is up 25%. Bitcoin back at 70K or nearly 70K. It's edging us right there. Yeah, dude. So exciting stream. We got JW
Vibes.
on with us for our pre-stream. We're gonna get into in a second. We'll just kind of riff for a little while here first for like 3, 4, 5 minutes. So JW, bear with us. We do respect your time here. We got JW for an hour as long as he's got, and then at 1 we move on to Remora Market, which is an RWA platform. So good stream today, guys. We're gonna keep it poppy, keep it quick. But yeah, that's the meme, dude. 70K Bitcoin. I wasn't on yesterday's stream. How are you guys feeling? How was you guys popped it off yesterday? You got like 4,000 viewers or something. So you guys crushed it. But good stream yesterday. How are you feeling, man? The markets took a pretty violent tumble right thereafter, I guess during as well. But what do you make of it? Because stream title here is signs of a bottom. And for me, we're gonna have to ask JW a little bit about this, but it feels like that may have been our bottom. We have been mapping out these levels since since day numero uno of the stream, I feel like, where we've kind of reached into. Johnny told us 69K was his level. I had that out yesterday, marked up right about above here. But Jill, so we had two zones, and I just keep kind of yapping here, but we had this zone right here, which we got the little bounce off of, which eventually rolled over, and we came down into this larger drawn out accumulation, that, if you want to call it, that kind of led to this leg leading up. Also is in line with the previous all-time highs, which seems to be a place of support in the past. Do you think we're lining up with a 4-year cycle? Is this year one of bear, and then we go into a bull market here, or sideways and bull market? Like, what do you think?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt it. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh my gosh, the 4-year cycle is," and I gotta ask JW about this as well. I want to get his take. But yeah, I mean, look. First off, backtracking real quick before we continue with that. Yesterday's stream, absolute banger. We had a surprise pop in from Spencer from Orgo. At towards the end of the stream, interviewed him, got some sweet alpha based on some things going on at Orgo. So you want to check the stream notes, check out yesterday's stream for that. We're probably going to be clipping that up as well, and those clips will be coming out over time, over the next couple days or so. But yeah, yesterday's stream was hot, man. We loved it. 4K viewers on a day when Bitcoin was down only, so you love to see that. But yeah, just transitioning back to Bitcoin here, and just kind of making a bottom. I want to ask JW about his perspective on where we are, what what potentially we're where we're potentially going here. But this is a post that I put out earlier today, and this is what I said. So far in February, I should have said so far in 2026, but I said historical liquidation event, 4th worst day for Bitcoin, top 3 most oversold for Bitcoin, sentiment at a 3-year low. Bitcoin ETF records, that's the BlackRock ETF, recorded 10 billion in volume for the first time. So probably a sign of a pivot point, capitulation. When you see a volume spike, it tends to mean it tends to point out a key level. But I mean, look at these prices, man. Bitcoin under 60K, ETH under 1,800, SOL under $70. If we're back in November, October last year, I don't think many people would have said we saw these prices. And I think this bodes well for the rest of 2026. We basically front loaded the pain, and I think that opens a door for at the very least stable prices for Bitcoin throughout the rest of the year if we end up ranging, but at most opens up for much higher moves. But I don't think the 4-year cycle is still intact. We've highlighted the many differences. It might be rhyming with the past at this point, but I still think that 2026 takes us back above 100K at some point. So With that said, I mean, let's go ahead and bring up JW. Let's get his take. Let's get his take.
Yo,
JW, man, what's going on? How's it going?
good. You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep,
You're
can
good,
hear
bro.
you
You're
loud
good.
and clear.
How's it going?
Where you based? Where you based, bro?
I'm in the States. I'm in
Nice.
no docs, but I'm in the States.
Heard,
West
heard,
Nice,
heard.
Coast.
nice.
West Coast.
Awesome. Awesome. So you're on Pacific time joining us here or joining us here today. You were traveling, man. We were actually chat. Me and JW, we were actually in Asia in the same places at pretty much the same time.
Wait, were we? I
Like,
don't remember that.
yeah, like I know
There
you
were so
mentioned
many
you went
people that I
to
was talking to that were also in Asia at like Christmas time.
yeah. Yeah, so I went to Thailand, a couple cities in Thailand,
Oh,
and
nice.
Japan, Tokyo. So I know when we were talking like late last year, you mentioned that like you'd be in Asia as well, traveling. So hopefully you enjoyed that and now you're back.
Was good, yeah. It was very good.
What was the
Awesome.
Asia trip for? Just business or pleasure?
No, I just went with some of my buddies.
Nice.
It was fun. We did a month in Japan and then we went to Koh Phi Phi, like outside of Thailand. It was great.
That's nuts. That sounds nuts. J-Dub, we got a lot of questions for you, dude. So officially, are you a part of the Umbra team here at this point?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't going to announce it till Monday, but yes, I am.
No freaking way. Another MCG exclusive. If you guys remember yesterday's stream, you got a lot of MCG exclusive news there. And, we continue the streak. Well, congrats on
Thank you.
the Umbra dub, man. I mean, you've been pushing Umbra like, heavy. And I see it. You're very passionate about it in the timeline. What's your role there at Umbra now?
I don't know where I can go with this until Monday, but the best way I can describe it is like, I think more so like they need a role in terms of outreach and like a little bit of strategy in terms of like the investor side of things, which is where I think I'm going to help them quite a bit. And I'm honestly like, I haven't genuinely been this excited about joining a project in like quite some time. Kind of reminds me of like early stage like Hyperliquid. If you remember like 2023, like
Yeah.
the people that were like really excited about it, but the lore behind Dexes was just, terrible. But yeah, that's kind of what this reminds me of. And I've joined up with the Umbra guys and it's pretty special. I think they have something really good going.
No doubt. We got Crew from Umbra in here, so shout out Crew. Shout out Ave coming in here talking about the dead cat bounce. Yeah, dude. Markets are turning around. J-Dub, we got a bunch of questions for you. I mean, we want to talk market outlook. We want to talk about Umbra a little bit, your thesis there. Maybe also some like 2026 narrative predictions is something we've been talking about on the show a lot. Obviously, actually, privacy fits in there as one of ours. But, dude, let's start from the top. I guess, you know what? Forget that. We should get your background. JW, like what
Yeah.
brought you into crypto in the first place?
Yeah, I came in like honestly pretty late, like 2022. So like you had the big run up in 2021 and I was already involved in other markets, but I kind of came over in 2022 honestly cuz like I genuinely thought the whole idea of crypto was pretty bullshit, but they had pretty good volatility, so I thought it was a pretty decent short, and that was kind of what dragged me over was like the idea that like it was a pretty frothy industry. It was like, February 2022. And then it wasn't until I'd say like early 2023, maybe maybe December 2022, where I like sort of understood the lore behind what this industry could be. And then I kind of got excited about it and I've been sort of here ever since.
Love it. And sitting here looking at 2026, or again, forget that. So what's the outlook on the market, dude? We just got like a historically large crash in the market. Bitcoin is now bouncing very nicely off of that. Like, what do you think? What do you think comes next? Are you you have the crystal ball there? You can tell us what comes next.
I can say that at least for low, like I took the long like 63K. A lot of my guys in Optimus, they took the long, but I think the general sentiment between what we think is, you maybe get like a decent bounce to like 80 over the next few weeks, but then it's kind of like a bracket between 60 and 80 for a while. I really think you needed this. I think there was just a huge issue with, you had the biggest marginal bid that we've seen with like, Tom Lee and Sailor and what have you, ripping it up into like 120s and 4,900 ETH, and you're just running into like billions and billions of sell pressure from like, I think people underestimate how much like hidden supply Bitcoin has. You had guys in 2009 delivering pizzas that still hold their BTC, so I think you just had this issue where this massive marginal bid ran into even bigger marginal seller, and now you're just at a point where you don't have that much liquidity. But I think coming down here and finding new value actually like brings some pretty good opportunity. I think it's actually like pretty optimistic that we've come down here. It kind of sprouts some cool new ideas and new trades that we can put on.
Yeah, are you a general believer of the 4-year cycle, or is this something that's out the window?
Oh, I mean, like, dude, we topped in October 2025, right? Like, I think
Can't get closer than that, right?
I think you kind of have to like side with it. I mean, also it kind of goes into what I was saying earlier. It's like the 4-year cycle was this sort of like belief within crypto natively that the OG holders established, and the OG holders abide by it. And so I think like you had a massive, I don't know how much was sold, but when you have billions of like institutional buy pressure from like ETFs, Sailor, all these DATs that were put in place, I mean, that was like the best you're going to get to break out, and you could not break out. I mean, you did, but like when it came in above 100K, you ran into a massive seller. And it also coincides with like the latter half of the 4-year cycle. So, I mean, there are variables that like could argue against it, but I mean, you're kind of still at this very point, you're still playing the 4-year cycle.
Is that what you would attribute this dip to? We see like a ton of people on the timeline specifically talking about like the scariest part of this dip is we don't know what caused it. Is it 10-10? Did some unwind happen? Did someone go under? And it seems like the answer.
Well, somebody definitely went under. Gotcha. I don't know who.
So do you think that's contributing? Okay, like you're saying, literally yesterday someone went under and they were forced to liquidate here.
There was actually a post. I'd have to find it. I can't remember where it is. That some non-native crypto fund that was holding BTC, they blew up.
Just about to ask.
Which genuinely, like, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I think that is probably a better outcome than a native crypto fund blowing up. Because like, you got to think also like the big privacy, and we can get into the privacy narrative a lot, but the big privacy push this year was BTC used to be this cypherpunk movement. It used to be, the people's money. It used to be like the idea was like it was encrypted. It wasn't, for TradFi. It wasn't for the suits. They took advantage of it, and then now you have this, situation where if they're the ones offloading, I think it could bring us back to a more healthy environment. Like we kind of like I mean, I've studied previous like cycles. Like 2017 was like this was our market.
Yeah.
We took control of it. So I think it's almost better that you have a non-native fund just like offloading than like someone internally within our industry blowing up, because it kind of like goes back to our like core ethos as like an industry, if that makes sense.
I think that's a great take.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Also,
that's what I think.
Also, to clarify, you think a lot of the selling here or the supply side that came in the last couple months was mostly crypto natives, or do you think that was more of a mix between the DATs unwinding and crypto natives, or almost purely crypto natives here? Like,
well, I haven't looked at like, I mean, obviously Sailor hasn't unwound anything significant. Tom Lee hasn't either. So you got to think like they were the biggest marginal buyer. It's like I said, like I think there's a lot of hidden supply that's just like hiding in Bitcoin from like 2009. And then also there was the thing with like the Galaxy OTC. I don't know if it was like 9 billion in like, position sizing because like some quantum fears. I mean, you just have like this like weird instance where like so many variables have like all hit at once, and it's just like one way to go and it's lower.
Is this the bottom?
I doubt it. I think like I doubt it very seriously. I mean, I think we just genuinely have like a liquidity problem. There's plenty of people touting the same sort of narrative. But yeah, I think this is a really good bounce. I think it's definitely like in terms of look, I think crypto as like an industry is like a child. Like it's very small. Like if you look at like the S&P, if you look at all of these other markets, they have been trading for years, like decades, like multi decades. They've had a lot of time to like get froth out and establish themselves, and people blow up and better players get in and build liquidity up. I mean, you genuinely like we're not even we're not even like we're not even 2 decades into this. Like this industry genuinely just needs like more time to establish. I think we've gone down so many bad routes, especially with like altcoins and total token like useless slop. I mean, you genuinely need situations like this to like really like break up liquidity and like build things back. So I don't think it's the bottom. I think like price wise, like 60K, I think like you could go like if things get really bad, you could probably go like 45s, but like I think there is still a decent moat in crypto or with Bitcoin in terms of like these DATs are very, especially like Sailor and Bitmine, like they're very hard to break up. Like Sailor would have to go, like sub 10K to like get, genuinely cautious. So I think like we will have like a shallower 4-year, if it's a 4-year, like I think like the drawdown will be more shallow, but I think Bitcoin is just going to be this like annoying asset for like a very long time.
I mean, what do you see solving the liquidity issue? Like, I mean, at this point, we've had ETFs, we've had DATs. Like, at this point, like, what solves that?
Well, I mean, the whole idea behind Bitcoin as of late, past few years was like, this is the digital gold. This is like gold 2.0. It's the better way to transact, and it's more like sovereign money. And the whole idea was that like, central banks and governments and what have you, we're going to get in here and they were going to accumulate, and that's like a lot of money because they print it out of their ass. Like they've got, unlimited money. And so that just wasn't the case. Like that just like didn't happen. Like it's not a very good way to transact. It is like objectively like, it does solve like some problems that gold has. Like with gold, like you've got like paper gold. The supply is like this like Schrodinger's cat sort of thing where you don't know how much there is, but like it cannot be tampered with. And I think the quantum thing, I don't know how real it is. My IQ doesn't go that high up, but like what I do know is that like there is like a % chance that is a real threat, which gold doesn't have, silver doesn't have. Like God created these things, you can't destroy them. And so even if there is that like small bit of uncertainty, you're going to have these, sellers that have, held Bitcoin since, the inception to be like, well, I mean, let me take some off the table, right? Like, and so I think you just need one, the quantum fear to be like totally like full certainty destroyed. And then I think you can have a situation where governments have a more like likely scenario to get behind it, but I don't think that's close. And so I think you just have this like really big fat asset that just like trades sideways for a very long time.
Got it. And I'm sure you've seen the Wall Street cheat sheet already, but I'm gonna bring up a quick image of the Wall Street cheat sheet real quick. And I just want to get your opinion on it. Like, where do you feel like we are in terms of?
Oh, is this like the cycle thing over years, or what is it? I haven't seen it.
Let me show you. Here it is. Boom. Here's basically the Wall Street cheat sheet, but
You've seen this for sure.
I got
yeah, you've definitely seen this. But like, where do you feel like we are? Do you feel like we're, we were talking about this earlier this week. Some people are saying like, oh, maybe we're in denial, panic. Some people say that we're in, capitulation, anger. Where do you feel like we are right now? And, do you feel like this is a bear market? Did it just start? Have we been in one for a little while?
I think you've been in one since, I don't know. It was looking pretty bad when Bitmine couldn't get through that single seller. And then you even had like the Hyperliquid whale come in. I mean, Gosh, I don't know. I think like I said, like I think like value for Bitcoin like could establish between like 45 and like I don't know, like let's say like 50 and 70. Like you have this like big bracket. I think we could go as low as 50. I don't think that is what I'll say this. What crypto is really good about is like front running like everything. It's so reflexive. So I think like there is a possibility that like crypto just like, you know, goes and crashes or goes up in a faster sort of pace than any other market, and then you could just like base out for a while and then build back up. So I think like if I'm looking at the chart, I don't know, denial.
Yeah, I feel
Denial.
You. I feel you.
It's also it's a tough market. Like I've it's like you haven't been so uncertain, and like I mean the US president is in the Epstein files. It's just there's so many things that are just like happening that are just like what the fuck's going on, and you kind of just want to get your money out or just buy gold, and that's kind of just been the narrative.
Well, and weirdly enough, though, we've even seen like typically you'd see the safe haven assets, the flight to safety, gold and silver, but we saw silver do 40-50% in a week down. Like what's going on with that? There's nowhere, it feels like there's nowhere for investors to run, and that's kind of just been circulating around. So I might sound like a broken record saying that, but like I don't know, do you have an answer or anything to that whole situation?
Yo, your stream's cutting out. Hello, can you hear me? I can't hear you guys.
Oh, hello. Chill, can you hear?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I can hear you now. Yeah. It was cutting my sound out.
My fault. I will I'll run it back again then. You see this kind of going around here, but silver dropped 40-50% in a
What the
week.
hell?
Oh shoot. Chill, is it my end or
Maybe it's your end, Dom. Can you hear me okay, J-Dub? Oh, I
Well,
think it's on
definitely
his
can
end.
This is a good conversation.
Yeah, no, this is great.
I wonder
convo.
if I wonder if J-Dubs trades perps, if he indulges in the juice.
I was gonna ask him.
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Can
Yep,
you hear
yep.
us? Is the main question.
Yeah. It's not me. I checked it.
Okay, weird. Well, sometimes we have buggy stream. If it happens again, just let us know. We'll try to brainstorm. But
Okay. sounds good.
technologically, we're like not the best. So,
No worries.
but you're good now.
Yeah. Here.
Okay, sweet. So, I was saying we saw silver drop 40% in a week. Gold dropping, significantly as well. It kind of seemed like in the past those were the safe havens, the flight to safety. You could just run to those commodities when shit hit the fan, when your president's in the Epstein files and he's thinking about bombing and there's geopolitical uncertainty. Like what do you say now that we have crazy volatility in the commodities market?
Yeah, that was crazy. I saw some take that like there was this super massive Chinese bid that just like flooded to gold and silver because they don't have like that's like the one market that they can flood to. And so it was like this massive like blow off retail bid. And then, you obviously have like funds that are like extremely profitable that are just like selling that off. So I think, dude, the volatility is wild. But that was the one take I saw that a lot of the it was a huge Chinese bid. I'm not sure if that's true, but it would make sense considering China bans every other market.
Yeah, I definitely saw it too. I mean, you can even see the Shanghai markets were trading significantly at a premium compared to the US markets. Also, I saw an interesting scandal. There was like apparently some Chinese supplier who has been skimming like $8 billion worth of value off of his gold. They have the gold and they just fill it with, I don't know, something else to make it way
Oh,
more.
no way.
Oh yeah.
I did not see that.
I didn't look into it much, so it might. I'm not sure what's like come of that, but I did see that scandal. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but probably not. So are you a perps trader? Do you trade any perps?
Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of like born into perps. I've been off of it. I mean, I'm long right now, but like in terms of what I'm doing at my current moment, my current mission is quite simply just Umbra. And so my perps trading volume has gone down quite significantly, but I trade perps for sure. I mean, I try to do everything. Like I have a great group that trades perps and on chain, and we sort of like hit every mark. But for now, the mission is just Umbra.
So,
can
quick
we get the
question
Umbra
for
thesis?
you, real quick before we get to Umbra. I wanted to add. You said you trade every market. I wanted to get a quick soundbite about Kalshi. I saw that you partnered up with Kalshi. You're like you said, you're touching every market between perps, prediction markets, on chain. Uh, Give us your what are you doing with them? Give us your thesis around prediction markets as well. What are the
Actually,
plans there?
I am not with Kalshi anymore, but I can still, vouch for their product, still use it. Yeah, I think prediction markets have a place in the new regime of things. It's a pretty good way. I'm actually like, I mean, I went long perps, but like, Kalshi has these fun markets where, it's like almost like zero ZT options, like where you can like place the bet of like Bitcoin, closing above a certain price by like a certain time at night. So like 5 p.m. close, they were trading, let's see, by 5 p.m. close this morning, if Bitcoin traded above 69,500, it was paying like a 6 to 7x multiple. And this was at like 62, 63K. I took that. And those markets are pretty fun. And I think it like has a good driver for retail because I think even zero DTE options are like still hard to understand and you kind of get, screwed on like the Greeks if you don't understand them. So I think those types of markets that are super simplistic, they have a pretty good place in the future of things. I mean, even I'm touching them. I mean, I think they're pretty lucrative if you like find these points like very little risk and you can get like 7 to 10x multiples if you play your cards right. It's definitely like more roulette style, but like it has its perks.
Yeah, I actually want to touch on that too. I'm not sure you clearly are in the know about MetaDAO. Obviously, you're working with Umbra. HeroPay ICO is coming up, and there was like a 70-30 poly markets. I'm not sure if it's on Kalshi, and this is according to Swish here. There was a 30% chance that it reached the 3 million minimum. And to me, I saw that. I'm like, dude, that's almost like a lock, in my opinion. I feel like it's almost certain HeroPay hits the 3 million minimum based on the track record of MetaDAO and the revenue model of HeroPay. Like, are these trades have you traded any of the prediction markets surrounding MetaDAO or this one specifically? Have you looked into?
I don't think that's a lock, honestly. Like it's the issue is that they okay. First of all, like it's not. I haven't looked too much into their business, but they ICO'd at quite literally the worst possible time, and it genuinely wasn't their fault. I think any other market, condition instance, they could get close. But the difference is that like they're trying to change it to where like you can't game the prediction markets with an uncapped ICO. So you make it, or I'm sorry, with a capped ICO, so you make it uncapped, which is what HeroPay is. So you don't have that like pro rata refund, right? And so I think that is what makes it not a lock. Not to mention, I mean, these guys are raising when Bitcoin had its worst day since FTX. I mean, like literally like the very same window.
Yeah.
I hope the best for them. I'm a pretty good advocate for MetaDAO. I think what they're doing is like arguably one of the most important things that like we can possibly get behind. But I'm not sure if that trades. I wouldn't take that trade personally.
No, valid. It's good feedback. Let's talk about the thesis. Unless Chill, you have something else you want to jump in before that. But let's
jump into the Umbra.
Yeah, let's talk about the privacy thesis. Here I got a tweet up from you. It said crypto privacy 2026 predictions. Can we just get a generally like what are your predictions for 2026 in terms of narratives and sectors that are gonna like win in a big way? Obviously, privacy being one of those. We can get into Umbra after that.
Yeah, I think look, I'm gonna be pretty biased here, so bear with me. But yeah, I think privacy is like I don't know of a more interesting trade that we have right now in 2026. I mean, like you got to think, right? Like it was kind of what I was saying earlier with Bitcoin. Like a lot of the FUD that's been going on and a lot of like the selling that's been going on is like Bitcoin was supposed to be this cypherpunk movement. It was supposed to be digital gold. It genuinely went away from that. It strayed pretty far away from that. I can name many variables that, are the reason for that happening. And then you have this like, come back to reality where it's like, what is crypto? What was it supposed to be? crypto, the Latin term for this industry is hidden money. Crypto is supposed to be hidden money. It's supposed to be encrypted. You had this big Zcash run on the, fueling, Zcash, which is that narrative. And I think it's such a sticky moat. And I think we have a lot of opportunity to fix a lot of the problems that we have we've embraced in crypto, which are false. And I think privacy is such a great narrative to get behind. And I think it's kind of like, Mertz said it's like the last 100x. I don't know if it's the last 100x, but I know it's one of the last 100x's. It's one of the last interesting narratives that we have, I'd say. We've juiced pretty much everything. So privacy is like this, barren land that we can really get in there and establish. And I think Umbra can capture a lot of that.
Yeah, do you think this privacy narrative also kind of falls on the back of just a broader adoption of crypto? We see Brazil, Europe, lots of third world countries are all using QR codes now for payment. And we see the emergence of neobanks. Of course, no one would want their entire bank account being public to everyone. Do you think this is also a big driving factor for, privacy-based protocols being just the norm?
Yeah, I think it could be. It's just you can go through a number of reasons why this might be a good narrative to get behind. Even mevbots, right? We had, back in on chain, early days on chain, people were getting mevbotted nonstop, right? And it's how do you protect against that? And yes, you can go on Jupiter and do mev protect and all this stuff, but what if there was a wallet that's fully encrypted? What if it protected all of your transactions? What if it was the UX of that privacy wallet was just as competitive as your non-encrypted wallets? What if you could build that? And I think that's what the opportunity is.
You have an interesting and unique experience, with the Umbra team, obviously a part of it now. You've been talking to them for a while. It seems like you didn't just become a part of the Umbra team and then adopt a love for it. You loved it first, you saw the vision first, and then you became a part of it.
That's exactly right.
Can you tell us why Umbra is the privacy protocol of the future over something like, I don't know, any sort of competitor, not to name names?
Yes, I can. So the most simple explanation, because first of all, I think privacy has this bad stigma of being so hard for the normal person to understand. The value of a lot of these crypto native apps is they're easy to use and they're easy to understand. And privacy has not been that at all. So Umbra, in its most simple bare bones terms, is an encrypted end-to-end wallet that has a very competing, or I'd say an equal UX experience than something like Phantom or Jupiter. So you can think of it as Phantom/Jupiter, but fully encrypted, fully incognito. That's what Umbra is. And it's on a chain that everybody uses. The moat is I can get into I can get into the moat and how I think it's very sticky, but
Please.
That's okay. So in terms of Umbra, there's a few components. So number one, it's obviously a wallet that is, and these wallets in general, not just privacy, but wallets in general, they are incredibly they're cash cows, right? Jupiter and Phantom, they pull in serious revenue. And even a lot of these privacy protocols, even Tornado Cash, they pull in serious numbers. And so Umbra will deliver a privacy, I would argue the best privacy experience in all of crypto that is pretty seamless in comparison to Jupiter and Phantom, but it's fully private. Okay, you have that. And then in regards to the Umbra token itself, we will have shielded pools for Umbra and a number of other assets, but you have the same mechanisms of shielding your assets with Zcash, right? The idea behind Zcash is you shield your Zcash and it builds the anonymity, and that is what makes it private. And it when you shield your assets, it effectively corners the supply, right? And so with Umbra, it's got the same mechanisms of Zcash where you can shield your Umbra with a number of other assets. And then on top of that, it's an ownership token. So when you buy Umbra, you buy a stake in the business, which has not been seen. Jupiter, you don't have a stake in Jupiter, despite them, pulling in gorillions of dollars, right? With Umbra, you're protected. It ties everything in with ownership. you as a token holder, you have a say in what goes on, and it can even go as far as like utility for the token. And that is like the idea that we're trying to push. It's very early, but like that's the idea that we're trying to push, is that you as an Umbra holder, you have value. You, as you hold the token, you win as the business wins. When you shield your Umbra, you are building the anonymity set, and you're also, your supply is, cornered. You can, earn yield, and also, you can earn based on how the wallet, grows in the future. So like if we're pulling in like a good amount of revenue, which I think, we will, there's a lot of eyes on Umbra. The Umbra token is like, has this very like all these like different variables that make the moat so sticky. And like I think that is it goes against like everything that we've seen in crypto with all these altcoins. Like these altcoins have no bearing on the underlying business. Zero. Like they just get, the token holders just get like, look at XPL, right? Like Plasma, these guys pulled in, the farmers of Plasma and everybody and the team, they pulled in like serious coin. The token holders got none of that. And it just bled to like it just bled to zero. So like what we're doing with Umbra, it totally goes against that. Like we value you as a token holder extremely well. And that moat is so sticky that I don't think anything else in crypto has.
Yeah. And it's a really interesting thought too, because you have this community that actually has ownership. And when you think about how investors work, you're more likely to, of course, support and evangelize something that you have an ownership in. Also, I had a good example from Tom from SOAR mentioned this. He's like, Toyota guys, people that invest in Toyota are much more likely to buy a Toyota. And so it's really interesting when you have this group of people, like how does the community truly help in terms of like bag working, because they feel like they have they have a stake in ownership in the success of Umbra.
Yeah, I mean, I said this earlier, like Hyperliquid kind of opened up Pandora's box where it's like, wow, like these guys are actually like, they care about the token holders. 90 whatever % of their revenue goes back to buying back the token, right? And it kind of like woke everybody up to this idea of, oh shit, like these tokens should have value. Like the tokens should go up with the business. These guys cannot keep extracting, right? Like the Aptos founder, he raised Aptos went to what, 5-7 billion. This guy's running a new hedge fund now. I mean, it's like insanity. So
countless examples.
Yeah, countless examples. But like the crux of it is that, at least with Umbra, it's got this like really, really unique moat. And I think a lot of that has to do with ownership governance, which I think in the future will be, and we can talk about MetaDAO too, because I think they've been getting a lot of like, I think it's kind of unnecessary flack. But I think the ownership governance like really ties everything like pretty perfectly. And Umbra is just like this like really, really unique moat with like, multiple different variables that like it all kind of ties back to the token holder, which it poses like a real, from like an investment like perspective, like it poses like a really interesting trade. Not to mention like it is a quality product. I know I'm like speaking from like the inside and like, not everybody has like seen the full-fledged product, but that's coming very soon. And you guys will be quite impressed. I mean, like I don't know if you guys have dabbled with privacy products, but the UX experience on most of these privacy products is really just not good. Like it's rough. You're not getting a good privacy experience. Despite that, they're making money, right? So if you have this, you have this situation where you have a privacy product with great UX that gives you like this incredible experience with a take rate that's cheaper than Phantom, and that, and then a token that like if you hold it, you're getting the benefits that we're getting. That poses a really, really interesting idea that crypto hasn't really seen before.
So I guess that brings a few questions for me. So number one, you mentioned that like other privacy protocols are making money. What's a good like benchmark example of a privacy protocol, bringing in a ton of, even if you don't want to mention the protocol itself, maybe just the numbers that they're pulling in? Just as
oh gosh, I'm not even looking at my PC to look at the numbers, but dude, I mean, Tornado Cash has been around for what? How long? Forever?
2016. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, dude, they're doing great. I mean, and it's just not it's not that. And also like I think so look, here's another interesting part is that like Tornado Cash, I'm sure you guys have like know that like they've had like a lot of like regulatory trouble.
Oh yeah.
Like a ton, right?
Yes.
Despite that, they make money, yada yada yada. The UX is not that good. So with Umbra, we have, you know, the availability to be, you know, we can be like, for instance, like, I mean, I can give like a sneak peek, but like, not like literally, but I can like speak on it. Like with Umbra, like within the app, let's say you want to like, you know, pay, like, let's say you're a, you know, a good trader and you want to pay your taxes, right? You can draft up all of your transactions within our calendar within the app. You don't even have to go anywhere else and be totally compliant if you choose to. Like I think this weird stigma and privacy is like you're like being a criminal if you're like if you want to be private. That's not the case at all. It's just a basic human right. And I think Umbra is the only product that like gives you full encryption, but also, you know, it has the best chance of being like regulatory compliant. And if you think of value, like in terms of value, funds, they look at, okay, is the government going to shut this down? Is the government going to not like this? Are they going to be regulatory compliant? You know, most of the time in privacy, the answer is no. And so I think Umbra is the only like as of now, Umbra is like the only way at, you know, getting past this. And I think a lot, I mean, we've talked to liquid funds all the time and they're pretty interested, but it's like the only way for Umbra to like, it's the only way for like a privacy protocol to be easy to use, you know, compliant with like whatever you need to be. And I think that is where the value is.
You know, my question, and chill, I don't want to derail you here, but real quick, like at what point do people realize this and ownership coins? Because it's been so obvious to us on this channel, someone who covers ownership coins ad nauseum here, and it's obviously very obvious to you, but people still are like gravitated towards bidding the memes, bidding the, you know, the banker tokens where someone just spins up a random charity coin for a founder who doesn't really want it or never asked for it. But like, when do people transition to, wait a minute, I get real physical ownership? I've been burned a million times. Like, just what takes that shift? Because we see it so clearly here and you see it so clearly, but the market's not picking up.
Yeah, I think, okay, so the best way I can, the way I'm viewing it is, okay, so with MetaDAO, right? Like you have, you know, I'd say the leaders are what, Umbra and Avicii, in terms of like the products. What people need, and I'll say this about MetaDAO too. People need to like one of these products under ownership governance needs to break out. And like break out, I mean, not just like the token breaking out and like price appreciation, but like it needs to be like a widely used product. And it needs to like get in there with like the upper echelon of like, you know, larger protocols. I think that's what will do it. And there's been a lot of people that are like hating on MetaDAO and, you know, all this stuff. And people ask me my opinion, and I genuinely think like MetaDAO is solving such a big problem that it needs time to like establish things. And a launchpad is only as good as what's launched on it, right? Like, and so I think the best thing to see like this sort of like take off is something like Umbra being an app that everybody is using on a chain that everybody uses. And then it'll be like, okay, here's another new project that's like really good, like Umbra level, that will go in ICO on MetaDAO, and it'll just like attract more things. So I think what people need to like start, you know, when Umbra's live and people are able to touch and feel the product, I think it'll be very, very clear for people that, okay, you're not going to get burned here. You know, these are guys that like as token holders, they want you to be an extension of the team. And then, you know, that it's just going to take like a little bit, but I think it's coming. Don't get me wrong. Like, but it's just going to be one of those things where these projects in ownership need to become mainstream, and then the tokens will appreciate with that.
The model needs to get proven out.
Yeah, exactly.
From an Umbra perspective, like what can that be for Umbra? Like what can help them like kind of be that thing, that product that breaks out? I mean, do you feel like it's just, hey, the product drops, it releases, and just people just kind of catch on, or like how does that play out in your head?
I mean, I think like, I mean, we've done a good job like solidifying like connections internally. So there's a lot of guys that, within like high ups in Solana that are like, very interested in what we're doing. And the main consensus is that like, the product just needs to be live. We need to be able to touch and feel it. And so I think like once we're live, you'll see a lot of, because like, I mean, I don't really look at the Umbra chart that much, but you've had these like the chart is basically just like people pricing in the main net, people pricing in the main net, people pricing in the main net, right? And it's like once like that is able to like be fully fledged out, which is very soon, to be fair, then people will be able to, because people will be able to use it and they'll be able to like realize like, okay, this is different in privacy. This is not like, this is not like Railgun. This is not like Tornado Cash. This is like different. This is fundamentally different. It's easy to use. It's clean. There's so many different aspects. Like I'm not going to leak things, but like we have like certain like aspects of our wallet that like you have never seen on any wallet. It is like fundamentally different and it makes it so cool and so unique that I think people will just default to Umbra, genuinely. I think people will like 100% default to Umbra. And like that's just like a time thing. Like we just like get there.
I guess that's my question, right? Like you have the Phantoms of the world, the Rabby of the world, but if you have something like that is from a UX standpoint, pretty much in the same, on the same level, if not better, kind of like what's the point of not doing privacy, right? Like I wonder if it gets to that level or it gets to that realization at some point.
Yeah, I think, look, for the longest time, I think, and I'll say for me as well, like I'd say most people would sacrifice privacy for an easy to use wallet. I think we can agree on that.
100%.
Because privacy has been this like, thing that is just hard to use and it's clunky and like it's just downright disgusting. But there is this like value of, wow, like being private would be good. Like it would protect my transactions, it would protect me from getting mev botted. It's like a protection mechanism, right? And so for the longest, it's just been, we're gonna use Phantom, we're gonna use Jupiter, we're gonna use like name your product because it's so easy to use and we'll sacrifice privacy for this UX. Now with Umbra, I agree with you. It's more so like we are so competitive in terms of UX to Phantom and Jupiter. I don't see a reason why people would stay. I'm not staying. I mean, I get I'm biased, but like I there's many people that have tried this out because we're bringing people on privately to like test and touch and feel and like it's the same consensus. Like I will default to this. Like this is Phantom, but it's encrypted. Why would I? And the take rate is cheaper, so why would I stay?
Interesting. So let me go off on a thought experiment real quick because I think what you just did is you're making it click for me. So privacy can like through Umbra, the wallet can help you to avoid well, at that point, no one will be able to copy trade you, right? They won't be able to see your transactions. They won't be able to. Am I getting that correct?
No, and what's interesting is like I'm sure you guys know the FOMO app. It pains me to say FOMO because I faded the angel round, but like, great team, great guys. But there's been this like narrative with that. It's like if you're a top trader on FOMO, your coins just get instantly. It's like it's not organic at all. And so it's like it begs the question, like your transactions are private. You cannot be copy traded. So what does that bring for you? Well, it brings like actual like transactions, right? Like you're not getting front run, you're not getting mev botted. This is you transacting by yourself, no influence on other, like no outside influence. And that there's I think anybody could argue that there's value in that.
I think there is. And I wanted to confirm that before I said the next thing, because what I feel like is because Umbra is essentially like this privacy layer that can be integrated into like trading terminals, wallets. It's a wallet itself.
Yes.
I wonder if they think about, making a terminal at some point, but
you mean like a DEX?
Yeah, like an on-chain trading terminal that's
like
fully
Axiom,
privatized.
Photon,
Like, yeah.
GMGN.
Dude, the team itself on Umbra is these guys are special. I mean, like I think there's been talks of like many different like future iterations that we can work on, but the main crux of it at right now is just going to be our wallet and our SDK. You can build on the SDK, you can integrate it, and then our wallet can be your mainstay. And you can earn yield, you can shield your assets, but like the sky's the limit. Like, we have like, I mean, this is like a multi-generational run of years that we're going to be grinding this out, because we think that the future of crypto is more private than less private. And if that's the case, then there's a lot of value in what we're doing. So different iterations are for sure coming. We have one that's coming. I don't know when it's coming, but it makes things much more robust.
Yeah, interesting. Can I add on to this conversation real quick too? Obviously, JW, you're getting brought on here, and I almost feel like your role in part is, somewhat of BD and outreach and like making these relationships, forging them. You have this Umbra SDK. Like, I think the easiest answer would be, hey, how can we get Umbra SDK in the already popular platforms like Photon, like Axiom? Like, it wouldn't really make sense for FOMO, since the crux of FOMO is copy trading and shit. Yeah. But like, how are you thinking about that? Would you guys look at Phantom as a competitor, or maybe someone you could partner with?
Oh, dude. I mean, I think, look, I don't know, because it's hard to say, because Phantom and Jupiter and their business model is, what it is right now. If they wanted to have any sort of encryption, yes, they could use Umbra and it would make sense. The SDK would make sense. I have a hard time speculating on whether they do that or not. What I do know is that I think we start with retail, and make Umbra your home as a retail trader on Solana, and then you kind of go into how do we capture the upside of these bigger projects. And to answer your question, yeah, I mean, I think we definitely compete with Phantom. We have a equal user experience. I use Phantom. Everybody uses Phantom. It's a great user experience. Jupiter is a great user experience. We compete with that, and we're fully encrypted. So as in terms of competition, it's healthy competition. Those guys are great. But yeah, the sky's the limit with what we can do with this and who we can bring on.
Got it. So we have a few minutes left in the interview till our next segment. So just kind of getting some closing thoughts here. I did want to wrap up my previous thought. Crew in the comment in chat, he's like, stop giving me ideas, man. Make the trading terminal, man. Drop the terminal, man. But I wanted to say it like this. I feel like Umbra is a kind of a drop of clean water in a bucket of filth in crypto. You have these on-chain guys that they farm their copy traders, they do this, they do that. But a lot of people, I think from what I'm seeing, a lot of people, if you want to be a certified trader, you go the FOMO route, get your social proof. But then if you want to actually be a good trader on chain, you go the Umbra route. Instead of publicizing your on-chain transactions, you make them private, you farm no one, and essentially that's actually better for the space. That's actually better for on-chain trading. I see Umbra as that, a kind of fresh air that's being breathed into the on-chain trading scene because of this kind of privacy layer that you guys are building. So I really love Umbra. I really do. It's one of my low-key favorite plays on MetaDAO. So we appreciate you coming through and sharing the thesis with us. But as we wrap up here, I mean, anything you're excited about, anything you want to leave with the folks here at MCG?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, yesterday was terrible. It's been pretty bad, brutal, but you kind of always have to have this optimistic approach about these things, because I think some of the most fun times I've had in this market is when Bitcoin has these really serious crashes and has this draw of boredom period, and then you have these random narratives that sprout up on chain and new things that are popping up. And so I think you got to really just appreciate the people that are building in a time like this, that are Because like objectively, these guys are building your future trades. Like not you guys, but like I'm speaking like, for, the whole of the market. Like they're building like your future investments, your future trades, like for better or for worse. And I think like you just have to have this like optimistic approach of like, this industry is not going anywhere. The value of it is, the speculation, very high, but like there is value here. And like to have this like optimistic approach that like you're going to find more opportunities if you just like stay alive and stay consistent, and you'll find these like cool little narratives like privacy or name your thing that you're excited about.
Love the message. JW, leave us with this. Is Epstein Satoshi?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, dude. No, but dude, it's so weird. I saw that too. That's just ridiculous.
That's
So
that's
weird.
crazy.
All right,
What a
brother.
world we
Well,
live in. We appreciate you
right.
coming through, man.
Of course, guys. Have a great day.
Take it easy. Great conversation.
Bye.
Sweet. Yeah,
What
if
a
you weren't
Chad.
Umbra pilled before that, I think you might be now, right?
So I think, like, bro, I really think that it's clicking for me. That Umbra can kind of solve this liquidity issue that we have on chain of like copy trading is a very, very big thing. I would argue that no one should copy trade anyone, like not on a bot, not automatically or whatever. And I would argue that we get to a point where you are seen as kind of, not grifting, but trending in that direction if your wallet isn't protected and isn't private. I would dare say we get to that sort of standard at some point in the future, because if you really think about it, the privacy issue is it can really solve a lot of these things that we kind of gripe about happening on chain, copy trade farming, and all these other things. So interested to see where things go, but definitely a breath of fresh air there.
Yeah, I think the thesis for me is it's very simple. It's like, just like JW said, privacy is your right. You wouldn't go around transact today. If you believe the future of money is on chain, then just like today, when you go and transact at your local gas station, or whatever it is, you don't want everyone to be able to see everything you've done, all your history. And so privacy really is a right in that regard. And I think the truth is, he made a good point. We need to see a breakout product on MetaDAO to really validate the structure and how it works. And Umbra is uniquely positioned to do that, because I think generally when everyone thinks about their wallets and how they transact, they'd probably like for it to be private. They probably, if there's no traces, if it's kept to themselves, like that's probably what they prefer. There just hasn't been a good option that enables that for them in a seamless, easy, sticky way. If Umbra can do that, they hit the nail on the head, right? So great conversation. There's a lot to go off. Some really good clips. I think we'll really get circulating from that. So yeah. Vax GM.
Man, shout out Ashesh. She's about to have some really good clips here out of that interview. So much love to you, Ashesh, if you're listening to this. Yeah, so you got this news pulled up. Go for it.
Dude, I want to get your thoughts, bro. Walter Bloomberg dropped this. The January layoff surge. So we got the print here. U.S. employers announced 108,000 layoffs in January, up 205% from December, and the highest January total since 2009, which would be following the great financial crisis of 2008, right, as a second order effect. So I don't know. What do we think about this? They say 7% of the cuts were due to AI. Do we think maybe more than 7% were actually due to AI? How do we feel about the job layoffs? Like, what do we need to do to escape the permanent underclass from the AI takeover, Chill?
They say one door closes and another opens. So I understand that, AI will take current jobs, just like, technology and factories and stuff like that took jobs, back in the 20th century. So, but again, like those jobs closed and another opened. And, these jobs are now closing and another will open. What that door will look like, what that door will be, when it will open, I'm not honestly too sure about that. But at this point, you can literally replace 4 years in college with 4 years with really 1 year learning how to use something like a Claude or a Chat GPT or something, and you can or Claude Code, I should say. That's the main thing. Spend a year with Claude Code, pay for it, learn how to use it, build something with it, and then go from there, right? Like there are doors actively opening right now, but I think from a corporate perspective, definitely I saw a lot of these some of these corporations like Amazon and others, they were laying off. They were front loading layoffs due to the innovations that they're seeing in AI. They weren't laying off because they had an AI like at the ready to replace someone. They were laying off because, hey, AI can actually do this a lot better. So, I see that still happening. But real quick, before we get to our next segment, if you guys haven't checked out Ray Dalio's thesis on the falling empire that is America. He walks through a several thousand year cycle that plays out, and basically I'll just TLDR
Is that on
it
Diary
real
of a
quick.
CEO? He wrote a book
I
on
believe
this.
I believe he summarized it, and actually, if you go to your boy's profile, I actually wrote about this a few years back about Ray Dalio and
Pull that up,
and what he was. Let me try to pull it up real quick. But while I do that, I'll basically TLDR it. Basically what Ray Dalio was saying was that at some point we are in at this point we are in what's called like the falling of an empire. And basically this is the thread that I wrote on it. And let me zoom this in so you guys can actually see the words. So here's what I said. This is back in like 2023. So some of this has like already sped up. But as you can see here, there is this kind of rising of power and falling of power. And over hundreds of years, it was the Dutch, it was the British, and basically we're at the tail end of the power of the US. And one can argue maybe it's not China, maybe it's something else, some other nation that could be rising. But essentially you have all of these factors that kind of like play into a civil unrest. So there's corruption that's being exposed, there's mismanagement of funds, there's education, like there's all these things, all these like vital signs of he calls it vital signs of a booming country and a booming empire. Some of these vital signs start to flash and show things that you should look out for. And towards the end, here's where the important part, and this is why I still think this cycle is still on. Towards the end of the back end of an empire, look at this. There's a financial bust and economic downturn akin to a 2008. There's a printing money and credit akin to a 2020. And if you look at the Diary of the CEO interview, even after that, he says basically at the end, the tail end of an empire, they massively print money and devalue their currency massively. And so we've seen it, on one end with 2020 and what JP is trying to do, the Fed chair. He's trying to like control the after effects of that. But what we're about to do is we're about to massively outperform that level of printing and print to the point where we can't really fix what we've done. And we're already basically in that scenario, but there's still this big boom of printing that's left. And this is going to create an economic boom, but also an unfair wealth gap. And if you guys follow the Kobisi letter, that's why Kobisi says, asset holders, if you don't hold assets, you will be left behind, because this massive money printing would lead to an increase or maybe even an overvaluing of all assets, gold, stocks, commodities, and crypto, which would include Bitcoin and even our on-chain meme coins. So this is the backdrop that I'm looking at. This is sort of like a very small look into my worldview. I believe that we're coming up on a time where we're going to have to print massive amounts of money, especially as we need to support people that lose their jobs because of technical innovation. We already see the glimpses of that happening. But we're going to see that on a much larger scale here pretty soon. But the signs of a falling empire, interest rates hit zero, which that hasn't happened for us yet, but that will. That's why it's still ahead of us. Money printing, financial crisis, wealth gap, internal conflict, external conflict. Internal conflict, there's a lot of political things going on right and left, very extreme. Wealth gap is increasing. Financial crisis, we've had that. People are still experiencing the effects of that, especially after 2020. External conflict, obviously a lot of geopolitical things going on with, Venezuela, Taiwan, Ukraine, and other places. So we already see the signs in front of us, but it means massive money printing ahead for sure.
You know who seems to be on par with the bull market and buying assets? Well, Mr. Donald J here. Tweet from 5 hours ago, more like 3 hours
No way.
ago. Let the gains begin. White House posted this
Whoa.
biggest bull run ever, or this is White House Post News. Sorry, excuse me, not the White House, but we've heard this one time and time again.
That is crazy. Yeah.
Pumps the market after
Yeah.
he says this, though. I won't lie.
So I'm actually going to be getting into stocks a little bit on some leverage trades, nothing crazy. But I've been tracking some charts. Man, stocks are pretty, I shouldn't say easy to trade, but again, it's a slower moving target when it comes to the stock market. And if Trump, like he called the bottom last year in April, he's telling you the gains begin. He said, this is where it all starts. Whether he knows he got the Fed chair on wrap. He knows he has a lower interest rates coming. He knows what's ahead. So if he's bullish, I'm bullish because he has all the cards right now. So again, another confluence to say, I don't think I don't think it's over for Bitcoin. We'll find a bottom, and I think there's still a lot of room to have a fantastic 2026.
Do you have any stocks that come to mind?
Yes, I got some setups.
Let's do a little stock segment. Why not?
Let me see here. Let me first go to NVIDIA. And I got my chart pulled up here. So here's NVIDIA. Again, like a slower moving target here on the stock market, but basically on the weekly, there's this huge area of support here for NVIDIA. I actually wanted to get in on this entry here at 168, but it's been pretty shallow touches of this box. I thought we'd have like a little bit more of a deeper pull back into it, but that didn't happen. But either way, the box itself is still valid. The support zone is still valid. I don't think Master was giving much of a yeah, there we go. So Master,
would you buy MicroStrategy over Bitcoin?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's literally the stock market Bitcoin proxy. So if you look at July 20, not even July 2025, I think Bitcoin has actually. Let me see what Bitcoin was doing around July 2025. Yeah, so July 2025, and both for Bitcoin and for MicroStrategy, they both kind of hit a local top, right? So as you can see here, as you can see here, this is July 2025 on Bitcoin, and then as you can see in MicroStrategy, July 2025 is right here. Right. So as you can see, both Bitcoin and MicroStrategy are they kind of run together, and we're coming into a massive area of support here. And I think honestly, the setup here on MicroStrategy is much better than the setup that you'll get on Bitcoin, at least for the moment, because this is a key area of support here. We bounced off of this base before, and we can likely do it again. Again, stocks aren't as volatile as crypto. Yes, MicroStrategy has gone up quite a bit, so there is some gains to be had there. But I think as far as like leverage trading is concerned, Hyperliquid is giving you access to many markets. We used to be forced to only trade meme coins, utility coins on chain, etc. But if you're getting exposure to these other markets, you might as well take them. I mean, longing silver, that was a free trade for like 2 weeks. Longing gold, same thing, right? But yeah, let's go ahead and and go to our next segment. I think we have our guest, or I should say guests, plural, in the waiting room. But yeah, guys, trade the markets you have. Take advantage of it. But let's go ahead and transition, Dom.
Sure. We got Remora markets on the topic of RWA. We've had plenty of RWA protocols on here. So, we got Warbucks on, ready to talk with us about Remora and what's going on. It's been a exciting, interesting couple of weeks for you guys. Huh?
Definitely, man. GM, how you doing? I'm dialing in from Hong Kong. It is actually 2 a.m. here, but I'm still pumped the hell up. It's always an exciting time to be in RWAs, and I think you got to channel what you're building. Available 24/7. So that's what I'm all about. And good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, absolutely. What's got you in Hong Kong?
Oh, dude, I was actually born and raised here. So I lived here my whole life.
No way.
People get surprised because I sound American, but I promise you that's just from TV shows and movies. But I can speak Cantonese and Mandarin, so I can pitch you RWAs in Chinese.
Well, we have
probably not what we're gonna do.
We have a Chinese dubbing service, so that'll take care of that.
That's so sick.
I know, right?
Nice.
Nonetheless, let me pop chill screen up here. But yeah, we're grateful to have you on here today, and we're trying to dive all into this. Especially now we see the market's kind of taking a plunge and people are looking for places to park money. So maybe we start a little bit with yourself, get a little background check on you real quick. What brought you to crypto and how did you get started in this industry and RWAs in general?
Oh, that is a fantastic. I could go down a little bit of the rabbit hole, but I don't think that's what most of our viewers are here for, most of the listeners. But yeah, honestly, my first ever proper gig ever in my life was in crypto. So I joined Magic Eden back in the day because they started actually here from Hong Kong. Most people don't know that. And they were first incorporated here before they moved to the United States. All the co-founders are Chinese. There's CMO Tiffany. She's known me since I was 18, since I was a kid.
Wow.
And so she was looking for some help. Yeah, I know, right? She was looking for some help on the social media front. And I was just degenning out like crazy during the good old 2021 NFT days when money came easy. You know what I mean? You just you buy a Boryoku Dragon and then you get your Boku every day. That's enough to pay your mortgage, with one NFT. Take me back.
Come on.
But yeah, started there. I helped scale the Magic Eden social media. I led their go-to-markets for on different chains, ME on BTC, ME on Ethereum, and a bunch of others with a goated team, of course. But if you ever heard of the phrase, the Magic Eden intern, so that was me. So I wear that badge with pride. And it was a good time. But since then, I've kind of dabbled in a lot of different ecosystems, man. After leaving ME, I was working with Animoca Brands. I was advising them on a bunch of their different projects, across ecosystems, EVM, Bitcoin, whatever. Wanted to, step outside the Solana zone. But of course, all roads lead back to Solana, therefore my background. And so here we are back again. And a few months ago, I was looking to really try and make impact. Over my career personally, I've launched over 300 different projects, NFTs, tokens included. And it was a bit of the rinse and repeat situation. You know what I mean? I wanted to be a part of something bigger, more infrastructural. And when I started learning more about RWAs, looking into them, I came across the Step Finance team. I read that they acquired Remora back in the day. I think it was late 2024, early 2025 back in the day. And got in touch with the goated team, Chris, George, and whatnot. And they entrusted me to help grow Remora. So here we are today. It's been a crazy journey. 4 months in, 9 figures volume. We had our very first 8-figure day last week, despite market conditions. So yeah, full steam ahead, man. Full steam ahead.
Yeah, I actually can see here. I got this on my screen. I'm not sure who posted it, but our first $10 million day. That's your Warbucks. Yeah, there it is. Didn't even read it.
Yes.
There you go. So on that note, incredible. Maybe like what preparation and steps it take for you guys to get here? How long has this been a functioning product? You guys have been building this out for?
So we launched this, just a little bit of background here. So of course, like you said, right, very early on in the stream when I first joined in is, okay, markets are dumping. People are looking for a place to kind of park their cash, if you will, and things that may be a little bit more reliable, so to speak. There are some fundamentals, right? It's not just based on vibes, but you can rely on some infrastructure, whether that's Tesla, NVIDIA, Circle R. We have a bunch of different R stocks available through Remora Assets. As you can see here, I love doing this, that I can just sort of like point to my background. And so we got MicroStrategy, NVIDIA, Tesla, and a few others. We're live with 5 different stocks. And we also recently went live with metals. So we've got gold, silver, copper, palladium, and platinum. And so the reason why this all came to be is, like you said, people wanted to park their cash, and it was sort of like a way to hedge your portfolio. And think about it from a customer's experience, right? A user's experience. It's a pain in the ass to have to bring all your money off chain. Say you make a crazy killing on Moodang, right? So that was thankfully a very good trade for me. A few of my friends and I caught it early. And what do we have to do? We have to move. You have to off ramp all of our money, all of our USDC, all of our Solana, and then try and see, okay, how can we transfer it to a brokerage account, blah, 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 OTC. It's a bit of a hassle. And so that's what we're primarily trying to solve, right? It's about the distribution network. It's about the entire user experience, trying to make everything as seamless as possible. So that was the first pillar on how we started with Remora. It's, okay, let's bring everything on chain. We want to make everybody's lives easier on Solana. And what easier way to do it than allowing you to kind of move your capital freely around and diversifying your portfolio wherever you see fit? Why is it that you have to kind of go through so many different hurdles and channels? It's a pain in the ass. Nobody should want to do that. And of course, that's what's driving us further, right? So we started with 5 different R stocks, and we can proudly say we have the deepest liquidity on chain. When we launched, we were very, very excited about that. We were the first to launch metals on Solana too. So we're kind of known as the metals guys, which is pretty cool. I fuck with that. I like that term.
How long ago was that? Was that before this crazy
It was in Jan.
run-up?
It was in Jan. So yeah, okay. So let me send this. Am I allowed to share my screen?
Absolutely, we encourage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, sick.
Sure, you can figure it out, but that little plus sign at the bottom there.
Bro, I ain't no boomer.
Come on. There you go.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, so we launched in September of 2025, right? And you can see it was a bit of a slow growth, and people were trying to get excited into RWAs. And what one of our team members likes to say, it's kind of like stablecoin early days, right? Adoption was slow, but then of course, as everybody says in crypto, slowly and then all at once, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had that sort of slow phase. People were trading, nothing crazy. You can see that the most active, token that was being traded back in October was Circle, right? You see a lot of dark blue volume here, but then it kind of slowed back down because markets were a little more stable. It wasn't going absolutely insane. It was pretty much, going sideways rather than up or down. But one of the ways we kind of pride ourselves at Remora is kind of bridging the world of TradFi and DeFi, right? So we want to bring in the fundamentals and the predictability of TradFi with the fun capabilities of DeFi. I think that's kind of what we're all here for, So for instance, right, if you have an American stockbroker account, you need a portfolio value of I think like 80 grand or 100 grand to be able to take a loan on your portfolio, which, let's be real, not everybody has that, right? But
Sure.
on when it comes to DeFi protocols, it becomes a lot easier. You can have a portfolio of $1,000, maybe $2,000, and be able to take out a loan on that. So you don't have to necessarily floor your assets in order to get exposure to more assets, right? In order to get exposure to more price movements. And so we really wanted to bring that level of flexibility and freedom in. And the first way we kind of brought that DeFi angle was, of course, leverage trading. Bringing in the degeneracy, right? That's the crypto way. And of course, our partners over at Flash Trade, shout out Anas, Mighty Mags, and the rest. So they were our go-tos. They helped us go to market with leverage trading of our stocks. And that was around early December. So that's when we see our volume really starts to pick up. There's a very notable difference, right? Right around this side, people are really starting to engage in all these different DeFi protocols that we're coming in with, not only leverage trading, but there's also something else that we do. So basically, when you leverage trade on Flash Trade and you deposit, say, your stock of your Remora basket stock into the Flash pool, so you are then given a token called FLPR, which basically a yield bearing token. So not only are you exposed to like the underlying price movements of those assets that you deposited into the pool, but also because that pool is being used for leverage traders by leverage traders who have to pay fees, you are also earning 80% of those fees. So our FLPR APY usually ranges from about 20 to 60%, which is absolutely bonkers. You can see it goes up and down depending on volume and activity, but so it's not financial advice, but it's pretty much free money. And we've seen that level of adoption really come in. And this is what really excites people, man. It's how can I make my assets work for me as opposed to me working for my assets. So that was the ethos we sort of led with. And that really drove our volume until January. I think right before I joined in, you were just talking about silver, right? The generational run it was on.
Yeah.
And so when we introduced silver around early to mid-Jan, silver, gold, copper, my metal buddies out here, then you saw like our volume absolutely exploded. People came in absolutely crazy, trading like insane. I think our highest holder count, even right now, is silver, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yes. So silver, we have over 3,000 silver holders as of now. Gold over 3K, copper over 3 grand as well. But if you compare that with stocks, we're only looking at a few hundred, which I thought was pretty cool. And I know I'm going on a bit of a ramble here, but there's also a really cool reason why. Because someone built a game, not that I'm endorsing this game or anything, Metal Miner X, but it was interesting that people are kind of innovating on the layer of our Remora assets, which has been really exciting to see. But yeah, we can get into that a lot later. I know I said a lot. But yeah, it's been really, really cool. The journey over the last 4 months has been insane. We had crazy response over at Breakpoint. We were in Abu Dhabi. And but yeah, man, it's the inbound has been nuts. Even though the market's been crazy over the last week, we're getting invited to do all sorts of shows. People want to build on top of Remora, have Remora assets integrated into wallets, credit cards, whatever it might be. But it's been good. It's been good.
What potentially can someone build on Remora? Like what are builders interested in doing?
Yeah, so it's a permissionless system, right? You can take the tokens and see what you're able to do with them. Like I said, we have metal miners who bought up a bunch of liquidity on the metals, and they're basically distributing it as reward systems within their platform, which is pretty cool. And number two, there's another version. I was on call with I think the guys were called Porto. They were pretty interesting. They wanted to build different forms of yield-bearing gold. So they were talking about, so we have a Remora asset, right? That is a very clear-cut one-to-one backed asset, right? Held with the one-to-one asset held in our brokerage accounts, and that's pretty straightforward and simple. There's not a lot of science there. However, it's what people build on top. So these guys at Portal that I'm talking about, they were mentioning building different types of gold. So high income gold, right, where you are kind of limiting your income a little bit. You're limiting your risk, different tranches, so they call it. High income gold, low risk gold, yield bearing gold. So you are just innovating on a very simple layer of what that asset currently looks like, which has been really interesting to see. That's what we've been trying to see so far, and how people are kind of able to bring in RWAs within their user journeys. So I mentioned cards, right? Everybody knows about the cashback system, but people have been talking to us about a stockback system, which is pretty interesting, where instead of getting USDC in return or Solana in return, whatever that might be, instead you are getting a particular stock that you might choose as your reward, which has been, I've seen that in Web2 angles, like here in Hong Kong, we've got a bunch of cards that do that, but It's nice to see that we're seeing that adoption in the crypto world too. But sky's the limit, man. Like we're honestly just getting started. We're getting inbound of things I don't even think about. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Man, it's funny. I think of RWA and Chill. I'm sure you can remember these times. We probably have talked about it plenty of times between us. But I remember even back on ETH, when ETH was hot, RWA was such a big conversation. Okay, how are we going to bring real world assets to people? Early fledglings of RWA. I think Warbucks, just so to help us understand, like give us an idea of, and it still seems like RWA hasn't really caught fire like we maybe even expected it to. When you think of RWA, like what does that unlock that traditional markets, don't offer?
That's a loaded question. Honestly, a great question. So, okay, so with RWAs, like you said, there's a bit of a nostalgic factor onto. We've been wanting to do this for a while, right? And it's a very broad umbrella term. You can talk about stable coins being an RWA, and those predate us by a few years, right? You've been here since 2019, 2020, when we really saw that crazy explosion. But and of course, we've seen Collective Crypt pop up with their cards. People have always talked about tokenizing real estate, bringing that on chain. The Constitution, once upon a time, right? Remember that?
Dude, I remember that.
So, like, the conversations have been crazy, but that's kind of the point. And I think maybe they went a little too crazy too fast, and we forgot a lot about the basics in between, such as tokens, gold, oil, and a few other asset classes that nobody really looked at when it came to financial tools. So your question was about how are we unlocking RWAs, right? I would say the goal that we're trying to achieve, and I think what everybody should go for is, say I'm a Tesla holder, right? You're a Tesla holder. Right now, the conversation is usually limited to like, hey man, hey Chill, hey Dinero, like, what are you guys working on? What are you trading at the moment? You got Tesla? Cool. But what we want is the next question to be, what are you doing with your Tesla? What are you doing with that asset in your portfolio? Once that becomes a part of the conversation, I feel like that's when we've kind of made it, where RWA adoption on chain, is really hitting that mainstream angle, is really taking on that next level of a conversation where the follow-up is, what are you doing with that particular asset? What protocol are you yield generating on, right? Are you looping your Tesla on anything? Which liquidity pools have you deposited in? Which generate the most fees? Like, you really want to make your assets work for you, not the other way around. Listen, man, deep down, we're all lazy, right? We don't want to work hard all day. Like, it's 24/7. We want our assets to work harder, right? Yeah. So that's really the goal that we're going for here. And it's also about access, which I alluded to earlier on the stream. It's I want my grandma, who's in Pakistan, right? So at this moment, she won't be able to expose herself to Tesla anyhow. Her portfolio to Tesla, to MicroStrategy anyhow. Well, MicroStrategy is debatable, but let's say Tesla and NVIDIA, right? So I want her to be able to just trade freely all these different markets that she sees around the world. Why even limit ourselves to America, right? There's the Nikkei, there's the Hong Kong Hang Seng Index. There's so many more. There's the London Stock Exchange, right? It's all about, why are you trying to create more hurdles within the financial markets when it should be all about access? Because not only does that help the average degen, the average trader, collector, but also it helps out the average company, because you suddenly have access to so much more capital around the world that you can raise, and you can use that to fuel your expansion effort. So we truly see this as a win-win.
Yeah, the premise of having an asset and being able to earn yield off it, which I otherwise wouldn't be able to earn yield off of, seems like a very obvious reason to get people to use these DeFi markets. Something traditional finance would just, foam at the mouth over. Okay, I can hold my asset, then also earn 2, 3, 4, 5, 10% yield in some cases plus on these assets. It's very appetizing. But I guess the gap still remains. How do you get this primitive to these people that would love it but aren't aware of it?
That's a very good question. And I think, okay, so this kind of goes back to our users, right? What kind of users did we start with, and how are we kind of evolving there? And of course, you start off with the native Solana users, right? Like I said, the first tactic, our go-to-market was, hey, hedge your portfolio. Crypto may be a little up and down at the moment. Maybe you want something more stable. You want to basically, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Why put them all in one industry, right? Here's a bunch of other industries for you to choose from. Here's a bunch of other asset classes for you to choose from. You got metals, stocks, and you have your meme coins all in one wallet. Why not, right? Why not? We made it a lot easier for you. So that was step one. And step two then goes on into, like you said, how do we expand those efforts further? And the conversations that we had at Breakpoint and, in Abu Dhabi, when at the time we were only at, I think our cumulative volume was maybe about 30 mil USD, right? At the time, like 30, 40 mil max, which wasn't too much back then. By the way, just quick tangent. We were at 50 mil by, I think, around the second week of January. And then within 3 weeks, we doubled that to 100 mil.
What you want to see.
The momentum has been, yeah, exactly. The hockey stick, right? So the momentum has been insane. And, thankfully, alhamdulillah, we're very, very grateful with how that's been going. But anyway, back to your question. So the evolution in our users. So we started off with the crypto natives. And we get all the DeFi bros first, because of course there's a bit of a learning curve, right? On trying to understand what is yield, what is FLPR, how can you possibly not only be exposed to the underlying the price movement of the underlying asset, but also be generating yield because it's used for fees. Like, how does that all work? So we start with the DeFi bros. Then you have the crypto natives who still somewhat understand, okay, what we're trying to do here. But then, of course, like you said, you want to go for the TradFi bros. And where are they sitting? They could be in blogs, right? They could be on subreddits, Wall Street Bets, and whatnot. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. We're talking to a lot of these different TradFi bros who are very used to these kinds of asset classes that we may not be, right? You and I have been in this industry probably for a few years. We could predict the price of a PFP NFT. We could predict the price of an AI agent coin or whatever, but we may not be very good with trying to understand where does Tesla go in the next 2 to 3 quarters. And so these are the guys that know their shit. And so when these Web2 TradFi bros come in and they're able to not only use their expertise, subject matter expertise, of course, but combine that with the abilities here that we give them with leverage trading, right? With lower barrier to entries, with looping, yield generation, they foam at the mouth of it. The only concern that we've heard so far is, of course, security, right? I think that's the biggest hurdle. And that's basically the issue right now. It's trust. And so that's what we're really doubling down on right now, going on these different platforms, talking to people, understanding what exactly is their hesitation to kind of jump into the world of RWAs. I think it's also because it's very new. And it goes back to stablecoins a few years ago. If you go back to 2017, 2018, you see a few billion in AUM, which is currently what we're seeing right now, or in TVL, sorry, not AUM, on Solana. And within 2 years, once that trust really came through with Circle, with Tether, and whatever else, that it really exploded. The TVL, the volume and access, because people suddenly realized, oh, this is something you can trust, is one-to-one backed, and it's making my life easier, and I don't have to, off-ramp my money in order to get access to something as stable as the US dollar, but you get what I'm coming from. So I think it's that same learning curve we're experiencing right now. It's just a matter of trust. So like I said, that's what we're working on talking to people, and of course, attaining the relevant licenses, which I'm not allowed to say too much at the moment, but it should be soon. And I think it'll put us in overdrive, man. If you think this was big, like that's going to put us in overdrive.
Yeah. Trust is definitely the part that takes the most time. Are you guys audited by anyone? Third parties?
Yeah, no, not yet. So, because we just started off, and as we are about to get licensed within certain jurisdictions and areas, which I think is going to be massive for us, the level of partnership it kind of opens up to will be fantastic. Then that's where we will be going over the entire auditing process, and I think that's when we'll be able to kind of step into that zone a little more.
Got you. Chill, I'm hogging the floor, Chill. Do you have anything you want to jump in and say?
No.
Nice lady, by the way.
Hey, no, appreciate it. No, I think honestly, you covered it. You covered it quite well. I guess one of the questions that I had was just in terms of the market that you guys are going after. Obviously, if you're within the US, we're on the cusp of basically 24-hour trading with stocks. So do you guys see yourselves more so competing like outside of the US, like kind of in other countries, kind of giving others access to the US markets? Like, how are you guys looking at that?
That's a great question. So I think it's a bit of both, because with the people in the US, they may have access to, of course, these asset classes themselves directly, Robinhood, whatever, and it's right at their fingertips, but they won't get access to these different DeFi tools that we are then leveraging, right? That's kind of our focus here at Remora, is how can we combine, like I said, the best of TradFi with the best of DeFi. So you can have one, but you won't have the other. And you can have DeFi, but you won't have TradFi. You want both, you go to Remora. And so that's kind of how we position ourselves for perhaps the local Native Americans that get access to the TradFi asset class, but they won't be able to, fuck around and find out with the whole DeFi tools and really have fun, maximize their yield, maximize their exposure, and learn a lot in the process. So that's our focus, I would say, with the Native Americans, Native American user base. But then if we're looking at around, bro, it's 3 a.m. Please. But
no, completely understand.
But if we're going for the wider global base, of course, it is all about access, right? 24/7. And in some cases 24/5, because we still have to work out our exact PIF pricing, for example. One of our pools, I believe it was the Flash Rate pool, they are powered by Pyth. So we have the NASDAQ pricing on chain too. So we were the first to bring that onto Solana. And that, for instance, is a 24/5 model instead of a 24/7 model. And so there are some limitations at the moment with the whole idea of 24/7. But of course, where there may not be NASDAQ live pricing, we have the on-chain AMM pricing that balances, which also creates, of course, a little bit of a defect sometimes by a couple of percentage. And that's where the arbitrage opportunities pop up. So that's why there's fucking levels to this. That's what I'm trying to say, and people are setting up bots. It's insane what people are able to do. And I think that's what really is driving our volume. People are recognizing it. People are seeing it. And they want more, man. People want more.
I'm glad you guys are focused on the Native American market. I feel like it's just slept on in a big way these days. So no, but I guess my next question would be, we were talking about trust and adoption. When you go and talk to the traditional finance guy and you tell him, hey, you can get this yield, you can loop, you can do all these things that DeFi enables, but it's crypto. What's their response there? Oh, I don't want anything to do with crypto, or I'm willing to transfer and transition over some of my assets on chain. And the crypto is not the issue. It's more so the trust thing. Just what's the response there when you tell these TradFi guys, by the way, this is crypto?
It really depends. You can have both ends of the spectrum, man. You got the people that are hardcore traditionalists, right? They just really don't believe in anything crypto. They think it's all a fugazi, and especially with the latest Epstein files that pop up, you see a lot more people moving away from Bitcoin and the whole idea of crypto right now. But at the same time, a lot of people can also see through the bullshit, right? And they understand, okay, this is all these are all just headlines. That there really truly is value to be made, value to be extracted from crypto and the blockchain infrastructure in and of itself, regardless of whichever ecosystem you're in. So we get both sides. But I think, and honestly, as from my experience, over the last couple of months, as our product gets a lot more sophisticated, the conversations are also evolving, right? So the conversations I may have been having, say early December when I was at Breakpoint, and this was pre-metals, this was pre some of the DeFi integrations that we had. We had just launched leverage trading at the time, but we weren't really getting into the loop scale. We didn't have access to metals and whatnot. So people were still a little scared, so to speak. So basically, people were still a little scared. They didn't trust it. They wanted to understand more, but there was hesitation because at the end of the day, it's crypto, and they wanted to understand, okay, is it still one-to-one backed? Who's your brokerage firm? And they had all these hygiene questions, which of course, if you're interested, you can always just go on our website, take a read. But then now, as we're kind of enabling and we show off more of the use cases, volume's picking up and people are able to see the true value that's being brought. You have so much more to lose by not trying, and you are missing out on what I truly believe to be a generational run. With what people are creating and the level of access you're getting. 22% APY. I told my dad about this, and he was like, "What? What are you talking about?" Because he's a guy who looks at 2%, 3%, right? I mean, we're talking about proper TradFi bros. 22% is insane. We even hit 60%, depending on the volume of the pool. So there is that hesitation because it's sometimes too good to be true. And I think once people understand that this really is something that's here to stick around, you get those relevant licenses, you get those relevant partnerships. And I think it's just about legitimizing the entire conversation, right? And you get the right people to talk about you. You partner up with the right distribution networks. And distribution is king. I think that's when the trust really comes in. Oh, that's a good question. Partnerships or integrations, what's next for Remora? Oh, good question.
You mentioned a lot of inbound.
Yes, a lot of inbound. So I know next week we're going live with a bunch of different privacy pools. Shout out Raider Labs. So so we're working
with the
show. Yep, exactly. So they've been on the show?
Yeah, good friends with the show. They've been on the show a couple times.
Nice.
Man, everyone is integrating Radar. They are getting so much traction. I love it.
Exactly, right? And because they're really truly building something that's valuable. I mean, people want to be able to trade their R stocks. They want to trade their R metals, right? We've had whales that sort of come in and maybe they don't want to necessarily put it on chain. That's where the privacy pools come in. So wherever there is a problem, there is a solution waiting to be found. And that's That's it's the ethos of crypto. That's the essence
Right.
of crypto. But anyway, yeah. So other partnerships, like I mentioned, there was some cards. There's some more platforms coming on. There are prediction markets too, actually. So that's going to be pretty cool, where people want to give out rewards, prizes in terms of our assets. So imagine a world. I'm going to sound like the trailer guy now. Imagine a world where you're predicting on the price of silver, and you actually get silver in return, as a reward. Wouldn't that be cool? But yeah, there's those
That's
side
cool.
of things in terms of integrations. And of course, right now we're just on two verticals, right? We got the American stocks, our stocks. We've got ETFs of 5 metals, 5 of each. Yes. Okay. Now we're on full screen. But of course, there's so many more markets to be tapped into, and there's so many more asset classes to be tapped into. And one thing I can very comfortably tease is we're looking into oil, and we're looking into a bunch of others. Of course, real estate is always on top of everybody's mind, and nothing's off the table with the way the conversations are going. I think it's going to be very bullish for Remora going forward. We don't have stocks in our name. That's something I love saying. We don't have stocks in our name. We're going all around. We're covering the whole board, man. It's going to be good.
Valid. Does that mean we get private equity soon, like SpaceX, like some of these private companies?
Ooh, that would be sick. So we've had internal discussions on this. That kind of represents its own level of difficulty. I'm not going to say no, of course. That's our very classless poet. What's his name? Justin Bieber. He said, "Never say never," right? So never say never. But yeah, so it's definitely on the table. Are we looking at it immediately, short term, medium term? No, to answer your question. Down the line, perhaps, but definitely something that we should consider, because it is an asset class. There is a demand for it, and so there should be a solution. If there's going to be a solution, it's going to be on Remora.
Interesting. And I just have this itch in my brain. I got to ask Solomon Labs, right? Solomon Labs of MetaDAO. They just partnered up with Oro to make their gold assets more valuable and earn yield. Are you in discussion with Solomon Labs by any chance?
I don't think so. I'll have to check with my partnership team, see if they are. I know the team behind Oro really well. We actually have the same name. His name's Usman. My name's Usman. And yeah, we were on a podcast like 2 days ago too. So dude, he's a giga chad. He knows his shit. But yeah, great team, Salty and Usman. And yeah, but no, we are not currently, as far as I'm aware, we're not currently in conversations with Solomon Labs. But now that you've brought them up, I know exactly what I'm doing at 3:15 a.m. I'm straight up DMing them.
Well, maybe we can aid in that connection there. Just make
that'd
sure
be
to
awesome.
remind us.
Thank you.
Interesting. Also, Crypto Jones has another question. Why have a token? Yeah, can we talk about the token you guys have? Is it the STEP token? I haven't actually checked myself, but tell me about that.
So Remora doesn't have its own direct token. So STEP was one of our major liquidity providers, but at the moment, there is no relation between the two. But however, there was speculation about, would there be any type of, would there be a pump or a reward for STEP if the Remora volume went up? There was some speculation around it. So I just want to say, no, that is not the case. We have no relation at the moment. However, us independently, Remora, I would not say rewards are off the table. So the more you interact with the Remora ecosystem, the more chances there are for you to be rewarded. I'm being very careful with my word choice here, but I think it's going to be very exciting. And if you want to be more involved, you can always be a holder of the FLPR token that I mentioned earlier, right? This kind of not only exposes you to the underlying price movements of the assets themselves, which are the S&P, right? Imagine being exposed to the S&P, the price movements, the pumps and the dumps, but at the same time, also generating yield. That is the FLPR for you, right? So that's if there's one token I talk about on this stream, it would be that. But no, we have no relationship with a STEP token.
Okay, so could you explain? Because I don't know, in my mind, I tied them together at some capacity. Could you explain how that worked out or that relationship there? You said you had no relationship, but explain that situation.
Yes. So basically, Step Finance was one of our major liquidity providers. We have a bunch of different of them. And so they have their own Step token. And a lot of people kind of tied in that the volume that comes in from Remora, the success that comes in from Remora was perhaps driving some buybacks within the Step token. And that is not the case. In fact, since our inception back in September, we had agreed that all of that volume would be going back into LPs for Remora on time, just bringing in more assets, bringing in more stocks, and making our ecosystem more robust. So we're not looking into buybacks or that sort of mechanism at the moment. We are looking into different reward mechanisms. I wouldn't say a token is off the table at the moment, a Remora reward system in and of itself. So again, never say never, but yeah, so there was some speculation there because there was involvement with Step Finance, but not anymore. Like I've been trying to do a very clear sort of cut across my media tour that no, there's no relation between the Step token and Remora success.
Got you. We covered a lot of bases, Chill. I'm going to let you kind of riff off here if you have any last questions, but
No, Crypto Jones hit the nail on the head. My last thing was just on the token, but that was pretty well covered. If you got anything else.
Nope, I'm good. So Warbucks, maybe closing thoughts here. What are you guys currently focused on? What's priority number one for the team on the back end? Let the people get some information.
Good question. So I think I've repeated this a couple of times throughout the stream, but of course, number one, different verticals, right? The momentum we've been seeing is unreal. You know, we're very grateful to all of our users, and we're looking into a lot of different partnerships, integrations. We know RWAs are exciting, and I think even with this market downturn, where yes, prices are falling down across the board, across industries, this is a good opportunity for people to kind of buy things on the discount. Of course, this is not financial advice, but should you want to diversify your portfolio, Remora is always there for you. And if you're looking for a particular vertical, whether that's oils, real estate, let us know what exactly you want, and we will try our best to bring it on chain. Why did we bring metals up? Because we saw that there was a lot of volume going into metals, and our team moves fast. We're agile as fuck, man. Like, our teams are a bunch of cracked out devs, and everyone's a GigaChad in their own way. Shout out RNZ, Shane, everybody else, just absolute legends, Gary. So because everybody's just so passionate about what we're building here, we are able to move fast, move forward. So if you have any ideas about partnerships, integrations, anything you want us to build, or if you want to build with us, please reach out to us, number one. Number two, we'll be bringing in a lot more different verticals. And I would love to spill so much more alpha, but I was just on a call with my team. I was like, okay, what am I approved to say? Like, is this okay? They're like, no. I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much more excited. There's a reason why I'm so pumped at 2 to 3 a.m. on this, where there's just so much to be built. People just don't understand that RWAs truly are going to take over the entire ecosystem, right? We've seen the meme coins come and go. We've seen the NFTs come and go, but the foundation of RWAs are so strong and so apparent. And I think it's just a lot more reliable. It's not a fad. This is something that we've been seeing for, decades, if not over a century. It's the essence of the stock market itself. Gold goes back thousands of years. Now we're talking about real proper asset classes brought on chain with access. Not only that, you're finally making your assets work for you with, of course, the innovation, the DeFi innovations, right? So we're bringing the best of everything together. And that's honestly what you should look forward to on Remora. And the more you fuck around and find out in Remora's ecosystem, I promise you, the more rewards you will get. Now, what those rewards look like, stay tuned.
TBD. They say it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. So if you feel like spilling some alpha, the floor is yours.
I wasn't even supposed to talk about oils. So I'm sure when I get off, my partner's going to be like, "Why did you mention?" It's okay. It's okay. I'm just going to attribute it to lack of sleep deprivation.
Yeah, you'll get a nice lashing for that. One more question that came to mind before I let you go here. Funding. How's the runway look? I think this goes back into the trust question we talked about earlier. Do you have enough funding to sustain this for a long period of time? Are you looking for additional funding?
Yeah, so we've got a few years. I think we've got about 2.5 years of runway look at the moment, but we are actually in the middle of raising a bridge financing round. So, happy that you brought that up. So we've got a couple of investors that have committed, and we're looking to raise, I think, about 3 mil. So yeah, 3 mil. So it's going to be very exciting. We're very pumped for it. And we're in conversations with a lot of these, can't really say, can I? But we're in conversations with a lot of angels, a lot of household names within the Solana ecosystem. So it's been really nice to see that sort of level of interest. And yeah, why not? We want to keep this train going. If you are an investor, if you're an angel, if you're a VC looking to expose yourself within the RWA ecosystem in Solana, please reach out to at Remora Markets or reach out to me at Daddy Warbucks on X.
There you go. And also follow that to keep up to date with Moro. Boys, this was a good conversation. Warbucks, I appreciate you coming up here. You have our Telegram now. We're always in contact, so we'll make sure to get get some stuff cooking. But I appreciate you.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for having me. Take care, guys. Peace. Stay safe.
All right, brother.
Thanks, Warbucks. Till next time.
All right,
Nice
there we are,
combo,
dude.
bro.
We had some
Look,
good ones.
I keep saying it, man. I keep saying it. If you have the point of being a trader is to find the best opportunity on chain. Right now, the opportunity set is expanding to not just include what we're used to having on chain, but to also include, all these traditional assets, metals, stocks, etc. Remora is even talking about, stocks in Hong Kong and all these other places. So, I think the tides are turning a little bit for us, where we're at this point in crypto where, TradFi and DeFi, or TradFi and crypto, or what have you, they're kind of merging together. And our job is to still stay ahead of the curve. The good thing is, especially when it comes to traditional assets, we're used to trying to, shoot a moving target, something moving at 100 miles an hour. A lot of these traditional assets are a lot easier to catch. So yeah, man, awesome product. Love the interview. Takeaways?
RWAs are coming. We're starting to finally see this manifest into a reality. I think before this, again, since for so long we've been talking about RWAs, and Chill, I remember some of our theses back then when we did like 2022, 2023 narrative predictions. RWA fit in there, interoperability fit in there. And interestingly enough, now I'm thinking about this, FOMO is kind of that interoperability thesis playing out. You can trade on Base, you can trade on Solana, you can trade on Binance, all from one platform. But interestingly enough, RWA has been one of those theses for a while. And the issue back when even NFTs were a thing and they would fractionalize NFTs, we just weren't developed enough, right? I think this is a more mature version of RWAs that we're seeing that start at the base level, right? Start at stock, start with what people are used to. And then we transition to more speculative, liquid markets, again, from private equities to real estate to towers to like whatever it might be. That's when you can start leading into the 24/7, making a liquid markets liquid, and you kind of can get all sorts of these different ideas. But this is the early stages of it. This is the mature stages of it. And I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, man. 100%. 100%. I got a question for you. Where you been trading? Base, Solana?
I've been
What
super
you been
locked in
doing
on
this week?
Base, man. Super locked in on Base. I'm grateful that I've chosen some really good assets to hold on Solana that I'm not trading in and out of, right? Like Cled has been a fantastic hold through this downturn. It's looking great. I'm happy with CPT. I'm happy with buying more, but in and out of trades, scalping, trading, I would say it's been Base these last couple of days. But since the market, I didn't even turn my computer on yesterday because the market was so bad. I was just like, no point. I'll do what I have to do for my phone and just keep my computer off. I guess I did turn it off. I did turn my computer on, I guess, at the end of the night, but that was only to listen to the new J. Cole album.
Dude, I'm about to run that right after stream, actually. I'm so late to listen. My homie just texted me actually while we're on stream.
What did he say?
Apparently a ton happened. He said 10 out of 10, no skips.
Wow.
So, and I heard some, I heard some stuff. I heard, J. Cole is firing off. So can't wait to listen to that. But
guy, bro.
But yeah. But dude, let me actually share my screen here real quick.
Crypto Jones says in reference to Remora, looks like a solid project with an enthusiastic founder. Is there an app coming? Yeah, I don't believe that was the founder. But you're right. Very enthusiastic. Is there an app coming? Man, I wish I could have told you that. I would say just go on the website. I think they obviously have a functional product. So I'm not sure if they have an app coming or if it's all web-based. So sorry, continue, Jill.
We should have asked that actually. Let me see. I'm looking on their website real quick. Powered by Remora. No, I don't see anything about an app. It looks like it's all web-based, but maybe it would make sense.
Yeah,
if
I'm sure it
some
comes.
sort of app coming. Let me go to my watch list real quick. Yo, guys, like I'm also pretty locked in on Base as well. So again, like continuing to just hit new pairs on Deck Screener 7-day. Make sure they got a profile, set some filters on it, and then the only other 2 filters I really put, or 3 filters I would say, is market cap. I'll just put 10 mil as the max, and then 100K in liquidity, and then I need at least 100K in 24-hour volume minimum, and that pretty much
100K in
that
liquidity
pretty
is
much like
a lot.
yeah, that at least makes sure like you're looking at something worth looking at. You can sort this list by volume. That's what I've done. I found some really good stuff, like Tellerbot. That's actually they just recently partnered with Banker. So they're kind of like a layer on top of Banker. That's a whole thing to dig into. And there's this new like operating system that was built by an autonomous agent, and other agents are starting to use it, and apparently it's getting picked up by the ETH developers. So I wanted to ask you, the reason I asked you about, are you trading on Base, are you not? And Abe, we see you. We're gonna take a look at the EVA chart here in a moment. But the reason I wanted to take a look at Base here was simply because I'm seeing a lot of ETH Foundation developers really like eat up this narrative.
Eat it up.
I'm seeing them like they're coming in, and they're literally just like they're really excited about this. So I'm like, wow, okay, so that's for me, that's a signal for me, right? So I'm looking at this, and I don't know if you saw the recent Banker news that came out about the vesting. No,
I didn't know.
Dude, so I was actually doing some research on Tellerbot. So basically the Banker developer, his name is OX Deployer. He basically asked, hey, like we need someone to build this thing where agents can essentially like deploy tokens themselves, or we need something to kind of like track agent launches and create a token for it automatically. And that's what this kind of layer is. But essentially in doing that, they've like Banker has now become like the breeding ground for all of these agents, or all these agentic tokens. Yeah. So any token is like it's basically going to be routing through Banker. And with this Tellerbot, they basically automatically they would launch a token on the correct chain, whether Solana or Base. They would route the fees to the correct person. So like the developer, not the creator of the token. And like, so for me, seeing that, ETH developers and stuff like that, they're really eating up this narrative. It just kind of like, it kind of gave me this idea that, man, like that we're very early to this particular narrative. So like OX Deployer here, he came out with an update for Banker. He basically said there's a new way of launch, a new vesting schedule or vesting system that they're going to ship that's modeled after TradFi's 10B51 plan. We can ask Grok later if you guys want to understand what 10B51.
Oh, you guys don't know what the 10B51 plan is? Come on.
I guess it's some sort of like stock, some sort of way of like vesting with stocks or something. Didn't really look at it, but apparently, this is something that they're going to ship, and basically you'll be able to launch a token transparently, and you'll automatically be able to come up with a selling plan for the vested tokens. And so you'll be able to sell at modest amounts over time, and that will make sure that developers are aligned with their community. And then also, you won't have the downside of devs just one clipping their supply. So that just creates this more of like this incentive alignment. And I love the way that OX Deployer is shipping so quickly. I think it took like, a few goes, a few break with bags for them to really like, okay, let's switch to, this vesting schedule and stuff like that. And even the one that they came up with was a step in the right direction. But I personally wasn't fully satisfied with that. But with this, now you can literally through a tweet say, hey, banker, launch this token, create this vesting schedule, and route it to this dev, right? So I
We
like
gotta
that.
we
I
gotta
like
reach
that.
out to Deployer, get him on the show.
Shoot, I'll type up a message right now if his DMs are open.
Sheesh. I feel like
Boom.
maybe I have. Let me see. Have not, dude. See, this is we gotta be on these. Dom, what are you doing? Yeah,
I got you.
would love to
I'll
get
type
that,
up a
that team on.
message and I'll reach out to him. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like again, I feel like with the credibility of OX Deployer, with the credibility of devs from the Ethereum Foundation, with the amount of people launching tokens, because right now it's not like AI researchers and stuff like that. Like it's like just developers launching tokens to use in their personal life, use in their work and stuff like that. But these agents are now like creating other things autonomously, like by themselves. Like I even saw one that launched a prediction market. So an agent spoke with another agent and they created a prediction market on this agentic prediction market launchpad. And basically they made Mark Cuban as the oracle. So Mark Cuban is going to be the one to call it. And based on how much volume that prediction market generates, all that is going to go to Mark Cuban.
Interesting. Mark Cuban.
It's a lot of like just again, it reminds me of 2024 Q4 early innings where none of this stuff made sense. You woke up and the next day something was different. There was something new. It was hard to keep up with. But what I'm seeing is a fragile Ethereum community. Vitalik just said bump L2s. Like Ethereum, like
market selling.
He's market selling. Like Ethereum is in shambles, and so I feel like that core shaking of the shaking of the core community there. I think they're looking for something. They're looking for something like, okay, well, I can't bet on Ethereum. What can I bet on? And I'm seeing that the devs are running to these AI agents, and it's attracting the community. And to be honest with you, on a day where the market is pumping, Solana trenches are garbage.
Dude,
there's no volume.
Wild.
There's no volume.
Some things are
right
bouncing.
Now it's on base.
It's wild.
I mean, I got my my list here for like my Solana some of my Solana stuff, and I'm like you, like I'm glad that I'm just holding some of this stuff. Like I'm glad I'm not like there's nothing I'm really trading in and out of on Solana, but like base, like dude, we talked about Felix, bro, just 2 days ago. And it did take a heavy hit, but if you look at the chart here, falling wedge, by the way, just saying. If you take a look at the chart, this thing just went from like, this, I think it was almost like 10x off the bottom, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so like, just a little over 10x off the bottom. Where on Solana is that happening right now? Like what assets are actually going crazy, or what like they're meme coins, but I feel like the AI kind of like new age movement, yeah, banker moved to Solana, but the volume there is on base, and I think it's coming from these whales, these core Ethereum community folks that are kind of turning bearish on Ethereum because of Vitalik, and so betting on some new stuff.
Yep. Top Fumbler, I would love to get Andy on. I've tried to get in contact. So Repo coming back after a nasty falling wedge.
Ooh,
have not been monitoring Repo so much, but it's good to hear.
Yeah, I haven't checked the Repo chart in a while. I know it took a nasty hit. Yeah, let me see here. Oh shoot,
Jones,
42%.
No word on slabs from DLMM.
Let me see here. Let me blow this one up real quick. Yes, let me just rechart all this right here live for you guys real quick.
Looks like that meme again that you were showing at the start of the stream.
Yo, for real. No. This is breaking out of a nice little downtrend. I guess we can call it a falling wedge, but I'm not going to on this one. But I just call it the downtrend here. That's That's really it. But yeah, no, this looks good here. Love repo. Love repo. It's been my like only base bag for a long time. So yeah, I'll be actively trenching on base. I'll see what they got. There's volume, there's assets, there's a narrative, there's setups, man. I'm not gonna ignore that. We're waiting on, we're waiting on, things like GSD and EVA. Actually, let's check on that real quick. Let me
I got EVA pulled up, actually.
Oh, solid. Perfect. Pull it up.
That's what you were gonna check out.
Yeah. I was gonna check out the chart, see what's going on. Saw that
EVA
it
looks
was up
solid,
like
man.
30%. Yeah, nice little double bottom. Nice little double bottom there. That
one of the
I
bags
want to say that's
leaders.
an Adam and Eve bottom.
Yeah, no clue. No clue what that means, bro, but maybe. What's an Adam and Eve bottom?
hold- Let me let me educate the people real quick.
Bro's just
Let
making
me-
up
let me
names,
s-
bro. Making up terms.
Dude,
You
that's
got the Adam
just,
and Eve
like,
double bottom.
you guys don't even know if this stuff is real. That's the thing. I can say whatever the heck I want.
That's the beauty in TA, bro. The moon
see,
cycles are
let me see.
actually
All right.
aligning with this too. We're getting a full moon tonight, and that should mean that this goes to all-time highs.
Dude, do you subscribe to that? By the way,
Hell
like, the
no.
moon cycles by any
Hell no,
chance?
dude. Of course not. Of course not. I know people.
that's
swear,
kinda
I know
crazy.
people that die hard subscribe to moon cycles, bro,
Yeah.
religiously, and it's so stupid to me. It's so stupid to me because, of course, we don't move based on fucking moon cycles.
So let me show y'all real quick. If you flip to my screen,
Got you.
I got you. So on my chart, on my screen, I have the EVA chart pulled up, and I am loading.
Let's say it's so blurry for me. I don't know if that's
Loading.
my end or
There we go.
chill. Am I cutting out?
It might be mine. No, I
Oh, okay.
am.
We got some TD, some technical difficulties. But yeah, dude, so Abe, to answer your question about EVA, dude, EVA, it's the leader in the market. I would say if you're holding on to some hope for Solana, bags on Solana, this is probably one of the ones you want to hold on to, along with GSD as well, which is looking very similar, actually. Very similar. I'm not sure if we lost Chill, but I'm just gonna riff for a little while. And you chill. If you can hear me, feel free to butt in. GSD looks really solid
I was
too.
muted there. I was muted.
Oh.
Yeah, I was
Okay,
muted
spit.
there. My bad. I'm back now. Yeah, I'm back now. All right. Real quick before I like stall out again. All right, Adam and Eve bottom. I'll just run through this like super quick. But as you can see, oh dang, the freaking picture here is way too small on
It looks good for us.
on this. But basically an Adam and Eve. Yeah. Okay. So an Adam and Eve bottom is that picture is what was way too small. Yeah, that was way too small. But you guys kind of see it. It's a point at first, and then it's a rounded bottom second. Okay, so that's what you call an Adam and Eve bottom.
So what you call a dick and tit bottom.
So it's
It's a D and T, bro.
yeah, basically DT, DT, bro. So that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing on this. Boom, boom. And that's what you call, boys, a freaking
Geometry.
Adam and Eve bottom right there. You're welcome. You
What do
learned
you know,
something
man?
new today on the show.
In session, bro. In session.
But yeah, no, Eva's looking good. Let's check out GSD real quick.
GSD and then Loria after that. Check out the leaders for bags on Solana.
Bet.
Ooh.
GSD still just kind
Holding
of like
great.
hovering. Yeah, still kind of hovering. But it's really like it's looking really nice. Still head and shoulders. That's still looking great for us. So just waiting for waiting for the eventuality, bro. Waiting for the eventuality. Yesterday on GSD, he said that he's coming on to a podcast tomorrow that made the foundation and created crypto, something like that, he said. So it's like a huge podcast. Yeah, it's a huge podcast that he said he's going to be on, and it's like one of like the, he said it's a podcast that created this space, is what he said. So we'll see what he means by that when we find out. Let's check out Loria. I think we're at entry. Yesterday we called under 6 mil for a nice little entry, and won't you know, the freaking green box hit. Come on, man. Like, I really do this. Like, I'm not trying to like, I'm not trying to be like cocky or anything, but dude, my green box is like, I'm so like, coming from a guy that used to like waffle a ton of trades, I've really come far to nail my entries, and like freaking green boxes are hitting, bro. So
let's go, dude.
Under 6 mil. That was the call yesterday. I said golden pocket entry here on the fib. We got that. Based on the market reaction, I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of revisit sub 6 mil, depending on like, the direction of the market. But so far, so good, y'all. So far, so good.
That's your zone. You can see the leg up, right? You can see the leg up at 4 mil, the accumulation, and the leg up. Anything inside there is just like good value, I feel like.
100%.
So if it comes 100%. Down. Bing, bing,
bing. Let's check DLMM. I see Crypto Jones talking about it. I saw it was on like a nice little pumpy. Got a little pump there. Let's see. Let me zoom out real quick.
Jones, for the record, is full ported into DLM right now. So this is his make.
I might follow him, bro. Like, I'm telling you, I might follow him. 1% on an individual buyback. And if you guys don't know, on deflationary assets, the better the effect on the deflation.
You with us? You're back.
Did I?
We heard on a deflationary aspect, the better the effect on the deflation.
The lower the price, the better the effect of the deflationary mechanism. In this case, buyback and burns from a yield generating treasury. The lower the price, the more supply you can buy and burn, and eventually there will be a supply shock because there's not going to be enough supply.
How much supply have they burned? Is it like 30% at this point? They're like going dumb.
They're going stupid. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's a slow cook. That's a nice chart. Compare that, overlay that chart with Bitcoin, and you're probably really happy if you're holding DLMM, to be honest with you. So shout out Jones. He's like a big DLM supporter, and I don't hate it at all.
I wonder if they have like a dashboard or
they need one. I think like last time we had them, I told them to get a dashboard. But they definitely are every single day they tweet out their burns every single day.
January 21st, 17% burned. They do have a dashboard. Let me check on that real quick.
Shit ass. Another 2 million DLM tokens were burnt today, about $510 removed from circulation via buyback and burn flywheel 22 minutes ago.
Yo, freaking Dom is a comedian, bro. About 100K, about 100 bands in assets under management. Let me view the analytics real quick. Live on their website. I'm
pop that puppy up for us too.
Yeah, got you. So total portfolio value is 83.7K. Right now, at least. I'm sure that fluctuates with the market. 20, almost 20% supply removed. And again, like if this supply just this price continues to, be this low, all that means is they get to take more supply out with each buyback, right? So yeah, I really love the way
they can run it up.
Looking. Yeah, they can definitely run that up. That was kind of like the initial. I don't know if you guys remember EFI from a few years ago. I was kind of the vision I had there, and why I was so bullish on it. But love deflationary assets. Best thing to hold.
Dude, let's take a look at Radar, because I feel like this one is it's every single time. I got it pulled up. I'll even tab it back over to you in a second when you get it. But every single time we have someone on, bro, it feels like they're integrating DLM. Today we had another DLM integration from I would say a leading RWA platform. You know, they did 110 million in volume, right? So pretty big RWA platform. It's 1/10 of $1 billion, and Radar's integrating with them. Again, Radar is integrating with so many people. It came down to, you know, this was like the first zone I think I was looking at. Came all the way down into another big accumulation zone. So whatever you want to call fair value, here, wherever, I would say like you're pretty much there right now. But yeah, nice little bounce. Radar's in a good area. It's incredible to see them grow. We also talked with J Dubs today about Umbra and how these are high revenue generating platforms. We know Radar was doing $1,000 a day the first time we talked to Luke. I mean, a good bit ago. We know they're sponsoring hackathons at Solana. So like they got the money coming in, which is they got the money coming in up allegedly, and then we're seeing partnerships left and right. Everyone's partnering with Radar. So shout out their BD team, by the way, for getting that done. But yeah, probably not a bad bid. This is probably one I would actually like to add to my portfolio here.
Yeah, no, Radar is looking absolutely fantastic, dude. My setup here is just rugging me at the worst possible times. But yeah, I mean, this is solid. This is what I'm looking at on Radar. I mean, honestly, it's not even much different than from your call. We're in a nice little buy zone. Like if I was looking at this chart, I'd be, and I'm trading it, like I'm looking to get in like at these current levels. Actually, it's still within a nice clean zone. Crypto Jones said, "Get your 250K Radar while you can. Thank me later."
Why is that the number?
Bet.
Why is that the number? What's 250K?
I'm sure there's like some token gated
features.
Some token gated features. I forget what, but I think maybe it gives you like premium.
Phillison and Jones.
Yeah, let us know. What else here? What else we got?
X1X HLOL is I think one of the ones we should check out. Okay, eligible for rewards. Got you, Jones. Thanks. That's the number then. At least 250K Radar.
Oh man, dude, I'm
struggling.
Dude, I just turned 30 in December. The big 3-0.
Big 3-0, baby.
The big 3-0. And I just sneezed and cracked my neck. I feel old.
Nah, it's cool, bro. It's cool. Yeah, no, don't worry about that.
Oh my gosh. Shit. Oh my goodness. All right, cool. But yeah, no, X1X. I'm gonna just call it X1X. I can't even do that full thing. But this one, like the chart is a little harder to read. But as far as a buy zone, like I mean, you know, here's my
We lost him. Okay, it's not Chill's day, guys. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, if you're buying some of these tokens, you have to buy with a long-term mindset. Like you have to say like, hey, look, I'm holding this for a really, really long time. Like, and when okay, maybe not a really long time, maybe I'm exaggerating, but let's just say call it medium term. Because right now Bitcoin is, you know, it's bouncing, but it's very likely that we're going to be in a range now. Like we're probably going to establish a range out for a couple months, and then we're off to the races. Bro acting like his setup is fine.
We just lost it for like 15 seconds, but we got the gist of it.
Yeah,
we got the gist of it. I think it's a pretty good looking chart. I mean,
yeah, 100%.
For what it's worth, that's held up the drop pretty well. You know what, altcoins in general held up against Bitcoin pretty well. Man, if Bitcoin would have went down 13% back in the day, you know what that would have done to our bags, bro?
Yeah.
We'd be cooked. We'd be down 40% on everything else.
I will say this. Allow me to draw your attention to a chart that we discussed and that we tend to discuss every so often. I believe we talked about this a little bit. What was it, yesterday or the day before, sometime this week. But as you can see, the others BTC chart is breaking out of the 3-year downtrend. For 3 years, others has not outperformed Bitcoin. This guy. call that the YouTube thumbnail, bro. Call that the new YouTube thumbnail. Yeah, so breaking out of the downtrend. So like I understand why alts are now holding up against Bitcoin a lot better. That's what this chart indicates. It indicates that the strength is in altcoins. And call it the market doesn't care. At the end of the day, like someone's going to be trenching, bro. Someone's going to be trading and not even paying attention to what the heck BTC is doing. I remember, just like 2 or 3 months ago, there's an ETH builder that came to me. Hey, bro, I'm building this thing on ETH. And, and I'm just like, you're still building on ETH? I'm like, why aren't you on Solana? Oh, no, like people are going to rotate back to ETH. What? Mainnet? Yeah, that's where I'm building.
Embarrassing.
What? Like, it just goes to show you how disconnected even people within crypto really are from the price action. Builders don't pay attention to this stuff. Trenchers, the same thing. If they're in the trenches, bro, they're not paying attention to majors, price action, or anything. They're looking for TikTok meta trends on Pump Fund, and they're looking for AI slop on Bags or Banker, or maybe even like some solid stuff that launches, right? Like the point is they're not paying attention to Bitcoin and majors. So I feel like that's gonna kind of drive some of this outperformance by others, is some of these traders really not paying attention to kind of the macro environment, because at this point we don't really have a reason for Bitcoin to have gone down 50%. Other than speculation on a TradFi company that got blown out.
Type. Bro, have you checked out Surge? I know you were waiting for this one. This is like buy zone.
Oh my God.
There's 3 things I could buy, I think, and walk away and hold. And like Surge is in a really nice zone. Radar's in a really nice zone. And maybe sneak DLMM in there as like 3 I would buy and sit on. And of course, Kled's looking great. The usual, but 3 that we don't always cover.
Man, that's there's some really good buy zones. Actually, it's crazy. I got a tweet coming out later today that kind of talked about like just bottom buying. Here's what the tweet said, because earlier I had another tweet out that kind of talked about like how Bitcoin could be starting to carve out a bottom. But I basically said, started from the bottom, now we're here, except this is the bottom and here is like sometime in the future, right? So let me say this, but I said I think we're speed running another bear market, as we did in Q1 2025. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, they're all at multi-year lows just about 1 month into the start of the new year. And we don't know why. Even if we haven't bottomed, it feels like this is the beginning of the end of this correction. We front loaded the pain, leaving a lot of room for a good 2026 to develop out of this. Good place to buy conviction bags. Let me edit it at the bottom.
Boom. Good take there from Chill Boys.
Yeah, solid. But yeah. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff happening. A lot of stuff happening on base. I'll probably be on base for a little while. Have you seen Solana, by the way? Talking about bids, bottom bids.
Bro,
this chart is beautiful.
You think so?
All right, let me give you all the setup. So you have Ethereum losing its luster with the shaking of the foundation with Vitalik. They're pivoting from L2s, and now you have Solana, where they have all the traders, they have all the builders, they have all the volume, they have all the innovation. Anything pretty much this cycle that has happened that's worth anything has pretty much come out of Solana. Pump Fund, which a lot of people would say is been extractive, but at the end of the day, it's a great business model, and is one of the biggest revenue generating protocols in the space. So they're doing something right. So Pump Fund came out of Solana. We're seeing ICM come out of Solana, ownership come out of Solana. We're seeing tokenizing stocks coming out of Solana. We just interviewed Remora. Meanwhile, the Solana price action is dog water. But if you really look at the fib, you notice that we're at the 0.786, bouncing off the 0.786 level on the Solana chart, going all the way back to our 2023 bottom and charting that up to our cycle top. We're at the zone where this is a extremely deep value area.
Look, we got a proper pullback on Solana. Like this does look like bear market low territory. Interestingly, think back to the JW conversation we had today. He said one of the things a lot of people forget about Bitcoin is there's like a ton of OGs in there with a ton of overhanging supply. It's not really the case for Solana. The only people that are really up were bottom ticking it post FTX at $8, right? And even then, of course, their average isn't getting $8. So unlike Bitcoin, where there are lots of OGs with stupid amounts of supply, Solana doesn't really have that issue, right? And like a new buyer can still get a good value here at $85, or when it bottomed at $67. And so like that's an interesting thesis, along with the thesis that Solana is just taking over in terms of transactions, volume, attention, etc. And I think you pair those together, you make for a really compelling story about Solana going up. The only thing is the Solana inflation isn't great, right? I guess that'd be the biggest drawback is despite Solana being at like $300 in the past, it still wasn't the all-time highs just because we had so much inflation in terms of market cap, and like it almost had doubled at that point. I forget the exact time frames, but the Solana inflation has been a little bit crippling. But outside of that, I think
a lot of it
crippling. Yeah. I mean, we saw market cap, or we saw, okay, let me not even speak about it because I'm losing my memory here. But nonetheless, I think it's really nice that Solana doesn't have a bulk of OGs with a massive, like sitting on massive profits right now. There's not that supply overhang that Bitcoin has, like JW said. Also, this is a proper reset, bear market. I mean, how low do you want Solana to go with what it's done this cycle? I don't see it realistically going much more, at least without being super oversold. So downside is the inflation. Upside is I just think the adoption and lack of people being up massive amounts on Solana right now.
Yeah, I hope they get something like squared away with the inflation. There's a protocol late last year that came out. It was called like ZK something, but basically they were working on this thing where you can stake Solana to secure the chain. And so I hope that's like a solution that like actually comes forth. I think the project, like, I don't know, failed, died, whatever. But yeah, that's the inflation is my only like kind of hang up with Solana, and why I don't even have like a bull market target. Like I have 15K for ETH, which I still have, by the way. I have 200K for Bitcoin, which I still have, by the way. I think we've sped run a bear market, but I don't think this is like the official end of what we would consider a cycle. I think there's still like a last leg much higher that we have to go. But Crypto Jones, I'd buy Met over Sol here, low key.
Real quick, one more time on that conversation too. And I think the Met conversation is also interesting. But you talk about speed running a bear market. Every single cycle we've seen so far has been front ran, if you want to say it. The lows have come sooner, the highs have come sooner. Again, reinforcing exactly what Chill just said. I think we are seeing the same thing. We probably bottom out a lot earlier than people expect, just because at this point people are conditioned to front run it in an extreme way. Nonetheless, I digress. We can talk about Matt now.
No. Honestly, like one last thing I'd like to say on that. Literally, there's a tweet that I put out that that talked about that, right? Like that the bull market wasn't necessarily what we thought it would be, right? Like a lot of people, you can't just like, buy something random and then, buy something random and then just wait and then you can sell it on top of retail. Like that did not work out that way. That's how a lot of people expected it to work out. But here's a few anomalies, right? Pre-having all-time high, non-traditional alt season, no blow off top, by the way, no blow off top, no mass retail euphoria, liquidity fragmentation, hyper-rotationary capital. Those things didn't really happen before at the scale that it happened now in regards to the last two. But I said it plainly here. I said, my point is there's a ton of new capital, participants, and trends in crypto that don't respect the historical trends that we treated as law. Entertain the possibility that the market could rhyme with history generally, but could present itself differently than what it once did. Let the new emerging trends guide us instead of imposing our will on the market, i.e., 4-year cycle. We have to go down 80%. We have to go to, below 40K or whatever, because at the end of the day, just like the bull market looked and felt materially different, could the bear market also feel different? Just like we didn't have the same, just like the bull market underperformed to the upside, could the bear market underperform to the downside too? I think it can. Markets are more efficient. Markets have grown, even in crypto, right? So yeah, but I fully digress from that unless you have another thought on it.
No, let's talk about the Met trade. Crypto Jones says he's buying Met over Solana here. Met went to all-time lows, which was crazy to me. Again, so here's what you see with Met. You see obviously bear market conditions. I think the airdrop sellers are pretty much out at this point. I just think everything you're saying now is attributed to just poor market conditions. So we got sub $100 million. I mean, sub $100 million market cap Meteor, which is just ridiculous. Again, you put it in the top, you look at the top protocols, it's making over $1 million a day at some days, especially when Bags was popping option Bags at $1 billion in volume, $1 billion in volume. Like Meteor gets cut off a good chunk of that, boys. I hope you remember. So yeah, I saw this sub 100 mil. You're right. I think it's a pretty enticing buy if you're bullish in any capacity on chain for the next year.
I think so as well. Like I've literally, anytime you hear me talk about Met, you hear me say this, and I'll continue to say this: under 30 cents is a buy, in my opinion. I'm looking at this chart. At least it's a buy for me. Like it's a buy for me. Like under 30 cents is just a DCA, and especially now in this market, man, DCA bids will age well. Again, if you're looking at the medium term.
Yeah, the economics right now for the Met token and the price don't line up, right? We see the business economics. I guess, to the point of maybe to the opposite take here, I guess you could say that Meteor is a meme coin at this point. There's no real intrinsic value. But Soju's been very clear in saying, look, we don't have equity and we don't have token. We have the token, and the token is like, the token is where we want to derive value. It's not two different things set up. We think of it as one and the same. And so what does that mean? Up for interpretation. But yeah, I could see a trade Met over Solana. I would probably be balanced, and I'd probably be balanced with that. You don't want to not have Solana here. I think we are pretty much near bottom. That was a solid pullback for Solana. The chart looks like it got hit.
Yeah, I think if Met had launched a lot earlier, let's say a year earlier, I dare say it would look like the Solana chart. Like it would be at like a this kind of deep value area, because basically from the time that we launched, it's just been bad market conditions. I mean, look, this launched 13 days after 1010, and if you look at any one of these charts, especially the XRP chart.
We haven't seen a good week since 1010, bro.
Literally.
Like really.
If you look at this. Look at this. That was 1010 right there. And it's just literally, it's broken through it's broken through that low, and it's just never recovered. But the XRP chart is really like a view of the entire altcoin market and what it's been doing since October. So they launched, pretty much right after 1010 happened, and airdrop farmers and poor market conditions, do what they do to charts. But what they also do is create opportunities for smart money to kind of come in and buy at these deep value levels. And I think, you're smart money if you're buying this right now.
For sure. Got to cover it. Of course, Kled's at extreme value, dipped to 14, 15 mil. Free buy. Not going to speak too much more on that. Obviously got a raise coming up. I may or may not have heard from Little Bird, whose name is Avi Patel. May or may not have. Not going to just sit here and say I have. That they're probably going to use potentially going to use some of the money from the. I don't want to make false promises for him or whatever, but potentially going to use some portion of the raise money to buy back and accumulate some supply. Maybe potentially he might have limits set. I don't know. So I like Khled buys.
Y'all literally got some crazy alpha on stream today, bro. I like this whole week, to be honest. Like you guys, like even in a bear, we've been delivering like some crazy heat, man. So I really hope you guys are enjoying it. But yeah, looking good. I mean, anything else that you wanna cover? Anything else you have in mind right now?
I am good,
Chat,
man.
anything?
It's a weekend, it's Friday. Enjoy. We yesterday was looking like I was gonna have to sit in my home all day, but it looks like today I can go out and buy like a milkshake now after this bounce. So we're good. And by milkshake, I mean copious amounts of alcohol consumption.
But dude, it's that type of weekend, bro. It's that type of weekend. At the end of the day, we earned it. Bear market vibes. We've been hanging in there. We're still working stupid hard here at MCG, by the way. We're working very hard to bring you guys, up-to-date content, up-to-date takes on the market. Like for us, it's this might be a bear market for everyone, and some people just kind of take their foot off the gas, but we're like full steam ahead here at MCG. Like, we're building, we're trying to make moves, man. So I hope you guys are enjoying the content. If you are, definitely give us a follow. I'm actually going to share our page real quick and close this out. Let me see. So if you love the content, go to our Twitter page, follow at MCG Live on Twitter to keep up with all things MCG. We go live Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. As you can see, hosts in the bio, myself, Chill, our other host, Josh, and then the wonderful Dom, the legend himself. We had an action-packed schedule this week, so really hope you guys enjoyed it. But next week, we have a ton of great guests coming on. Yesterday, if you were on stream, Josh gave you a little bit of a sneak peek of some guests that you guys wanted. So we'll have some more alpha, some more goop, some more stuff for you guys. Click the link in the bio, subscribe to our Twitch, follow our Chinese account, hit us up on Mobi, follow us on X, hit us up on TikTok as well as Spotify. And don't forget YouTube. Shout out the boys on YouTube.
If there's anyone still in the chats with us, is Epstein Satoshi? I want to hear your thoughts. If anyone's left after this shelter, is Epstein Satoshi? We should have asked Remora team.
Yeah, you did at the end, didn't you? Oh no, you asked JW. You asked JW at the end. You asked JW.
Is Epstein Satoshi? Chill. Did you see the files about that or no?
Top Fumbler says sure. Oh my God, man, you're stupid. I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I think if you look at what's the guy, John McAfee made a nice little take. He had a nice little take on that. So look up the clip, John McAfee, who is Satoshi. Search that on Google, see what you find. But he had a really good take on that. Definitely not Jeffrey Epstein. Jesus. Follow us on YouTube. Appreciate y'all, boys. Enjoy the weekend. His handlers might be Crypto Jones. They just might be. Y'all enjoy the weekend, boys. We'll see y'all on Monday. We'll have a schedule up for you guys soon. Peace.